Alrighty guys, we're here at SDRC Raceway racing the 2023 INS Indoor National Series.
All right, Jason Rona here with J Concepts. We're here at SDRC Raceway in San Diego, California for our season opener of the INS series here in 2023. We're here with last year's champion and I believe the year before that champion, Dakota Fenn. And Dakota talked to us about winning the series last year and then kind of getting in the position where we kind of have to do it all over. We're starting the series, we're starting the year off again. Talk to us about kind of starting this thing off right and how you did it last year.
Yeah, last year I think the season opener was here as well, so it's nice. I started out on a good foot there. It was kind of a warm-up for National later in the year that we had here, and yeah, everything went well. It was a good test, kind of getting ready for that, and the cars were good. So kind of have some different stuff this weekend we're working on and testing, and just trying to learn and kind of see where we're at compared to everyone else. I always really enjoy doing this series, just kind of some different like style events we get to go to. So here's kind of a little bit more like a lower grip to medium slicks, adrenaline. Normally we run treads, maybe go to slicks by the end of the weekend. And then, we have hobby action and a few different events there. So it's always nice to kind of hit up some different places, hit up some different track styles and kind of just see where we're at.
So coming into 2023, I mean, there's a lot of changes in the industry, a lot of driver changes, this and that. But I mean, for you, I mean, things are the same. I mean, you're running the same equipment here for the most part. And let's kind of go over that a little bit and talk about kind of starting off the year with really no changes in your program and just kind of jumping right back to where you were.
Yeah, it was super nice. Kind of stayed home December. We did the Cleveland race in Ohio, and then was able to kind of just hang out for the next few weeks and spend time with family for Christmas and stuff. And start the new off. We had a couple races at the beginning of the year, but everything was the same. So kind of didn't have anything crazy to do, any prep or anything like that. Just making sure everything's good to go, and getting reorganized. You go into all these races and stuff kind of gets out of control at home. So I was able to reset there, get everything good in the home front, and then start the season off and start racing. So it's always nice when you can kind of keep everything the same. Last year I had an awesome year kind of all around, so wanted to try to keep everything the same, and thankful to be able to do that.
So what do you think it's going to take? We have 5 races in the series. It's in the past we've had multiple different champions. You're one of them, of course, but sometimes drivers will be on a hot streak. They can win 2, 3, 4 events. The series is kind of wrapped up. Of course this year we want it to be mandatory to attend the finals, just so we can award the drivers that are the winning drivers at the event. But in general, what do you think is it going to take to keep backing up the success that you're having out here? Obviously, everyone that's watching online, of course, they always think it's so easy. When people, they're TQing and winning 2 out of 3 mains, but this isn't easy, and it's hard to back it up. So what do you think you have to do in order to kind of keep repeating these good results and getting in a position where you can win the series again?
I mean, I think the industry always is progressing. Driver ability kind of everyone's always pushing the limits. Everyone's trying to go faster. Same thing with setups and equipment and stuff. Everyone's constantly making progress. And you can have an awesome year, and everyone goes back home and does their testing, does their homework, and then comes out swinging. So it's tough to rack up the wins. And like you said, sometimes when everything's going your way, you're just showing up, you have a good program, and you're just making small little changes here and there and just concentrating on driving. So last year I had an overall good program and could kind of do that, really concentrate on my driving, and it's just going to be not making mistakes. I think at this point in the industry, everything's pretty maxed out. Like, you have to have everything on point, everything has to be 100% ready to go, and if you're having a mistake now, you're probably not going to come back for it at this point. So I think in the past you've been able to have a crash or a couple mistakes and be able to come back, and now it's you see the top 3 have 99%, high 98% consistency. So it's definitely pretty extreme out there, and just trying to when you get out there, get that mental mindset and just come out of the gate swinging, and then maybe you can chill a little bit the last couple laps.
So something we don't normally get a chance to ask, you and everybody else, but we're going to do that is, who do you see as your biggest competition going into these kind of races? Whether you're winning or losing, everybody's kind of, they're watching different drivers, and
Yep.
who do you like to watch, and who do you think is your biggest, competition doing a race like this, or as we move on into another different location?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a bunch of great racers here. Like I said, you have a crash, it's easy to fall down quite a few positions. But you always see Mayfield and Spencer up there towards the top. They're always fighting and doing good, and they know how to make it happen. So those are usually the guys, I would say.
All right. Well, thanks, Dakota. Appreciate the support as always. Congrats on all your success and all your wins. And hopefully we can follow some more here this year on the J Concept Series. And we'll see some racing here this weekend. And good luck.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks.
All right. We're out here on the track at SDRC Raceway. We're here with Al Horn. He's come from Michigan. Runs a lot of our races over the years. Here this weekend, he's been on the track in multiple classes. As a team, Factory Tracks Racing, we thought, why not do a track walk with Al? This could be the Factory Tracks track walk here. So, Al, talk to us a little bit. We're starting here at the start-finish line, which I've been trying to get people to refer to this as the Brian Kinwald start-finish line in RC, but maybe we can start that here. But anyway, so start-finish line, this is kind of where you take off in a qualifier. We're going to talk with you, kind of walk our way through the whole track here and kind of where you want to be. So you can kind of let us know here where you kind of want to start and what would you do here to kind of start your qualifier if you're starting behind the line here.
Well, starting behind the line back here, you want to be somewhat in the center, kind of shoot down this straight into the sweeper corner, and it's going to come. You can see the track's getting kind of black through here.
Yeah.
So you can somewhat see the groove. You can see the tire dust on the edges. That's from wear and tear. Most tires are kind of coming off a little bit. And then you step down into this little step down here.
Yep.
And then most guys are kind of drifting wide.
Yeah.
Probably within a couple feet of the wall itself. That's just so that you can kind of arc the corner, and you want to line up for this single right here.
So, kind of going back here, I mean, this is a section that when you're racing and you're driving, you got to connect this, because otherwise, if you're coming through here and you want to be radiusing this off, you're already thinking about this single, because this single jump's a little tricky. So when you're doing these step downs at speed, which you're going fast here, and then you don't want to get too close to the wall and the dust and everything out here, but you want to be as wide as you can, because that's the angle that you want here.
Correct, and you're absolutely right. You're technically connecting that corner point, the apex of this corner, and this corner point into the face of that first double, kind of all together, and that's kind of where it all ends. And you got to link those 3 to 4 marks together to hit your apexes and your braking points and get everything lined up going into the front section.
And when you're traveling through here at speed, you also have to monitor, right? Because sometimes there's dust, there's little debris out here, and you kind of have to put the car still in areas where you think there's going to be a lot of traction. I mean, you can't try to drive up against the wall and think that you're going to be...
Yeah, you definitely want to stay away from there. You want to be at least 2 or 3 feet out from the wall, because if you get too close to the wall, that's where all the tire dust is at, and you start getting loose. Then you want to kind of hit the brake right here, up the face of this, kind of at the base, to dive into this corner. And you can see a lot of the cars are diving in and leaving scuff marks in the actual track. Even though it's a nice hard clay track, you got all these little, I call them skid marks.
Yeah.
And that's a lot from the bumpers and everything else.
Wheels.
And the wheels, and if something goes wrong, the wing.
Yep.
And then you want to connect it into this double right here.
Yeah, and this is obviously, to me, watching, I didn't drive like you did, but to me this seemed like one of the more tricky sections, because you really want to get the car in position here to hit this double, and you're kind of trying to cheat life here a little bit, because if you got the wheels turned a little too much, you get one of these things where you're flying off, but in reality, it's all because you're carrying speed here, you're trying to land here, and then you're trying to set this double up, because it gets even trickier here inside.
100%. You technically, this part of the track is actually pretty technical, and you actually have to link all this together and able to have your vehicle in the proper spot by the time you get right here. And by the time you get right here, if you're not in the right spot, it kind of kills your momentum for this whole section, because it's kind of a chicane and crooked jump, and it just really sets you up bad if you're not within a certain window right here.
And then, you know, what the way this double is the cars, what I noticed is if you miss the landing and stuff here, the cars don't like it that much either. They kind of
really upset.
Yeah, they get upset, and you're kind of walking all over the place. And then you got this pie-shaped jump here that kind of shoots you a little higher than maybe you would really like it to. It's shaped a little abruptly here, and it's tricky over here.
For sure, it's definitely very important to land in the proper spot here with the right amount of gas, so you don't hit this little pie shape too fast or be in the wrong place. Mainly there's about this big of a window right here, and you can kind of see it in the track itself. That's really about all the room you have to get over there and set up for the next corner, because same thing again, it's another section of the track that once you land this double, you have to link those three sections together by the time you land the triple and get through the S corner and able to get onto the straightaway properly. And again, all your marks and brake points and all those things come into play again.
And you know, to me, you jump this, you're on the downside over here, and there's kind of a couple things that end up happening, a couple scenarios. You either end up too far inside, and then you got to turn around this little dog leg here, or you end up kind of where you want to be, a little bit further out here, so you don't have to turn as much, and then you're hauling down into the 180.
Right, and hard on the brakes going into that 180. Hopefully get the car rotated quick enough to hard on the gas and make the triple. And you have to be lined up to do the triple, because it comes back at you, and it's kind of like a crooked deal, and you have to be lined up and able to land it and not jump to the inside of the pipe.
You know, what I noticed in today's day is, you know, when we used to race in the old days, I never really feared 180s that much, because the cars were always built to kind of drive and slide them in. But now when I race, I always kind of fear 180s, because the cars don't like them near as much as they used to, because you go from high traction to a situation where you just unload the car so hard in the 180, because the car wants to turn when you get on the nose.
Right.
So then you get over here to the triple, and to me, this looked like a hard spot to me also, because you're trying to do a precision jump here, and you have really no run up to it. So you have to get the 180 right, and the car has to go straight.
100%. You have to, and you can see all the tire dust on the back side of the face of the triple. Once we get over there, you'll see it. But this is a very critical section of the track. Your braking point and everything is super critical here to hit the brake in the right place, proper amount of steering input, and back on the gas as hard as you can just to make this triple. And stock buggy guys and a lot of the stock classes, you can't make it. So like 13.5 four-wheel and all the mod classes obviously are making it no problem, but you still have to brake hard, turn the car, rotate it, and get back on the gas almost instantaneously.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at maybe 2.5 feet here of actual like space where you got to make that all-important decision of, okay, where am I? Am I lined up? Am I going to make this triple correctly? And you know, obviously you want to be somewhere in this direction, but you know, explain what it's like when you're coming through here. And you know, you can see everybody comes in here, and then they kind of give it that last spot where the car makes that final rotation,
right,
and then you're committed.
Well, in today's type of racing, opposed to what we grew up racing, there's so much traction, so much grip, so much hard packed surface. You have to really force the car around 180s like this. And in this case, with this triple heading somewhat back towards the driver's stand, you kind of want to leave right here and kind of aim for the inside of the landing. So you're essentially cross jumping the section and able to hit the mark on the landing and be able to make the inside corner.
Yeah. So yeah, you're traveling through, I mean, you know, for us in the old days, this would have been a monster triple.
Yeah.
And today, you're doing it out of a 180, and
Right, with no problem.
with precision into another little section that we got some stacked up pipes here that you could get your tire into this thing, and you're really screwed. But you know,
It's very difficult to land in this, again, 3-foot window
yeah,
and not end up in there, not end up out there where
Yeah.
it gets loose.
yeah, you're out here
And
squirrel.
you have to make this kind of 180 turn. It's kind of more of a 90, and it's a slower section of a track. Again, you're going full gas, full brake, turning with everything you got, landing off this little step down, hard on the brakes again, and trying to rotate the car once again to hit that double coming onto the straight.
Yeah, this is the other one to me. You know, I didn't even come down here and look at this until we just decided to do this. But you know, the way that they got this turn built up, and then the way where this plateau actually is, there's kind of some irregular shapes going on here. That
A lot going on there.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here that you don't really realize because in the car is feeling all this, and you have to adjust what's going on. But you're coming in here, and more than likely, if you're one of the hot guys, you're probably up here somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, to me, I'm probably looking from the driver's stand thinking that this looks good, you know, but in reality, this looks good when you're one of the fast guys.
Well, and if you're me, you think you're here, but you're actually here.
Yeah, I mean, that happens too. But, you know, and then you're trying to drop off right here, and you got irregular kind of terrain that you're trying to drop off and get a smooth transition because we got this, you know, this situation again where you got to turn the car a complete, sort of an unnatural turn here in a jump.
Correct. You're doing the same thing. You're essentially landing off this. You're hard on the gas here. You land off of it, hard on the brake, and you're essentially force transferring the car to get it to rotate and square up again, and almost instantaneously again you're back on the trigger to try to make it over this little double without going too far.
Yeah, I mean, what I see here is you're jumping to a higher point than you started. You know, it's almost like a step up here because, you know, you're at this is much taller on the top side than it is on the bottom.
Correct.
And this, you know, this little, you know, it kind of looks like a little triangle jump here.
Yeah.
But you gotta get a lot of height here to get up on top of this section. And now you're talking about a section that's probably a little harder to see from the driver's stand.
It is.
Tucked behind this corner.
And it's kind of off cambered, and you'll see some of the better guys like Spencer Rifkin, Dakota Fenn, Aiden Horn, those upper level guys. They'll come over this and actually whip the car because the landing's pretty steep for what it is, and they're setting up. They're whipping the car and setting up for this off camber turn coming onto the straight, and a lot of them are doing that so that they don't end up super wide or end up way over in the outside where the grid is at. You want to be in between that grid and the pipe just to get a good run at the straightaway and set you up for the sweeper.
So you know, like you said, you get a nice, if you're one of the heroes, you get a nice little whip action here, and then it basically turns the car already, so you're kind of in position to kind of climb into the straightaway.
Correct. If you land too far out and you get over here, this is actually, you probably can't really see it in the camera or the videos, but this is actually a pretty decent off-camber, and you'll just kind of slide down, and it puts you in a really bad position heading down the straightaway. By the time you get to the sweeper, you want to be back on the outside to set up and hit the apex, because the sweeper actually goes in kind of wide and then hooks right at the end. And then you got to go straight again into a 180.
Yeah, but I saw lots of times during during some of the practice and everything, as you come through here and guys are rubbing this, and it's hard to see from the driver's stand, but their car is probably half disappearing here. Because
it's very difficult to see over here.
Because you want to be out here more for that final turn at the end.
For sure.
and you hope there's enough people running out here where there's good grip. So yeah, straightaway. But
this part of the track seemed to get pretty wide as far as the groove goes. I mean, most of your good guys, your faster stock guys, your upper echelon mod guys, they're over here where we're walking on the outside of the numbers, and then they're crossing back in to then line themselves up to get inside this number one. And it probably helped them once the grid was painted for the mains today, it probably helped them with their marks, because most of the, your upper guys are ending up in here, getting over kind of in there, and apexing the car again and going straight into that little bump 180 again, hard on the brakes and hard back on the throttle.
Yeah, to me, when I watch this and you get this right, first of all, there's always there's always some little bump at the end of a straightaway somewhere that you don't want to get in with the wheels turned too much, because then it flips. So you got to find whatever your happy spot is here that gets your corner speed, and then you're heading into this what seems simple, but these things screw up a lot of people, because it's that situation where you got the car coming off a little single here, you got the wheel turn, and if it's too much, you flip over. Right?
Correct. For 100%, you have to be very careful with your braking points, and you want to hit the brake back here. And by the time the front wheels hit that white stripe at the top of that little bump, you want to make sure you're off the brake and turning. Because if you're turning while you're hitting the brake, then you end up flying into the outside of the berm. And then a lot of guys were rotating the car in this little short chute here. You saw a lot of the two-wheel mod guys, they were coming out of this corner and doing a little wheelie because they were so hard on the gas. And then going into the other face of this triple, another situation where you're diving in really deep, hitting the brake hard, rotating the car again. And these guys, keep in mind, these guys are using the brake and the steering wheel all at the same time to essentially pivot the car.
Yeah.
They're not just letting off and turning. They're forcing the issue in order to straighten up for these triples and back hard on the gas. And again, you have even less run at this big triple than you do the other one.
Yeah.
This is probably only about 2 feet from the inside of the pipe, and you'll see all the good guys, and even a lot of the stock 13.5 guys. They'll be essentially right where you're standing and end up hitting this straight and getting set back up for that Kinwald finish line.
That's right, Brian Kinwald start finish line. And this is another, and it's a big triple. We do bigger than this, but this is very long jump considering our run up here. Like you said, I mean, it's amazing how short of a run up this is. I mean, this is a steep face on this, but still, this is a long jump for such a short distance.
Well, and that's a tribute to all the equipment nowadays. The evolution of our sport has come so far with the batteries, the motors, the cars, the tires, and everything plays a part in all of that. 10, 15 years ago, we could have never made an
obstacle. It's a double single
like
all day.
without breaking your car. Now you can just line it up and pull the trigger and probably overshoot it if you wanted to.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people land. I saw a lot of people land way past it, doing it incorrectly.
You guys jumped inside.
Yep. So if you're landing this, ideally, you could see guys that towards the end of racing here, as this widened up, they're really trying to get that car almost kind of turned prior to getting to here, because they want that nice shot at the start finish line here, as opposed to just kind of crawling and doing a 90. You kind of want a nice radius here, right?
Absolutely, and I believe Brian Mayfield was hitting one of the best lines off this. He was coming off this triple a little bit cock sideways and arcing this whole thing out and coming onto the back straight with so much momentum that it didn't look like his car was even trying to do it. His line was just working out really well, as some of the other guys were kind of coming in a little tighter and hitting the apex and back on the gas. It's great to see the different driving styles and how these guys just change their lines just ever so slightly to get just that little bit of more momentum.
Yeah, I mean, and then we're kind of rounding here, and we're kind of back where we started here, which is the start-finish line, of course. But yeah, I mean, in this track again, prepped. They build it. It's just for this race. It's brand new. It breaks in. There's a green period of the track where it's got really low grip. It kind of builds over time. Then you get where the guys start getting comfortable. The traction and the track is ready. But we get to a point where we get into where tracks now, they like to blow the surface. To keep it maintained, we got blowers stationed around the track. We'll go into at another event kind of the rotation technique of the blowers, but just in general, tell us why today they blow the track and the tour marshals do it.
Well, over the years, the sport has evolved quite a bit. We used to run loamy, loose surfaces. The lines would change all the time, and now the tracks have become much more manicured, and the cars have become much more sophisticated. The tire foam and all that stuff has come so far that we're essentially running all these highly manicured surfaces, and the blowers have just become a part of the sport. And in between every run, the marshals have to blow the track off in the direction of the track and kind of grab it from their marshal spot, start in one spot, go to the next, blow in the direction of the track, and you can see the dust and the tire. It's mainly tire dust that you're seeing when you see it moving off to the edges of the track, and that's just become where our sport is at now.
Yeah,
and it's become essential to every single event. And as the marshals go through that green track process, you can see the rubber gets laid down. You can see the track evolve throughout the day, and by the end of practice day, usually there's just tons of grip. We're running slicks, and it's way more fun than bouncing around and throwing rooster tails. But that was fun too, though.
Well, we appreciate it, Al. Thanks. We got this factory tracks walk, we'll call it, here with you, and it's a good opportunity to kind of show what's the details here. And I think a lot of people are interested in this all the time because I think they kind of go out and just drive the car where they feel like they can drive it. But there's actually, in anything, there's a really advanced technique to this, and this is only, this is just part of the process, and there's more in depth that we can go in other videos, but that's kind of the general gist of how you want to drive and attack this kind of track, what the obstacles are, what the challenges are, and then the maintenance technique of keeping this thing blown off and in good condition, so when anybody hits the track, it's consistent for them and the next guy, and you have a chance to hopefully TQ in any qualifier, right?
Correct. And nowadays the racing is so tight, all your lap times are within a couple tenths. Your top guys, top 10, 15 guys are within a couple seconds apart, and blowing the track and the groove coming in and the tire prep and all those things, they all play a part in the big picture. And at the end of the day, it works out to, everybody wants to run an equal track, and it's a lot more level playing field nowadays.
All right, Al, we appreciate it. We'll see you at the next race. We got a carpet race coming up to your neck of the woods in Michigan. We're going to have a race there this year for the first time. It's looking good on the turnout, and we're going to get some carpet going, and then we'll be back at dirt sooner rather than later. So thanks again. Thanks for the support, and good luck, and we'll see you on the track.
Yeah, thanks for having us, and we appreciate you bringing the series to Michigan. It's going to be great. I believe I saw online it's a sold-out crowd. And nice facility. This year they went to carpet, and they're doing a great job.
All right, we're here with Spencer Rivkin at the 2023 J Concepts Indoor National Series opener. And Spencer, we already talked to last year's champion Dakota Fenn. He's won the series now the last couple of years. You are a past winner of the series as well, along with several other top racers in the U.S. And Spencer, talk to us about last year's result that you had, what you're looking forward to this year, and try to get those cars back up into the first place position in the series. I know it's not easy. Everyone thinks that you guys just set these things down and they're magically walk on water, we say, and go right to the winner's circle, but it's not that easy. And talk to us about getting in the winner's circle.
Yeah, I mean, ever since I started doing the J Concepts INSs, since 2014 is when I first started. Ever since I've been going to these kind of races, it's always made me a better driver, meet some new people, go to different tracks, the experiences that you get to have with different people, the track owners, the hobby shops. It's always a great time. Last year's J Concepts INS series, I ended up finishing 4th overall in 4-wheel drive, and I did end up podiuming in the 2-wheel drive modified class. Dakota ended up winning the overall series with both. And yeah, I think what it takes to have the overall title between the two classes, just being consistent at all the events. I really didn't have that grid of an INS last year, just for the starter of the series here at SDRC. I had like a 5 or a 6 in 2-wheel drive. And I also didn't go to all the events with the World's Year, 8-Skill World's Year, so it was just kind of a lot of different pieces to the puzzle that I'm looking to kind of clean up for this year and be more committed to go into all the series races, trying to have more cleaner results throughout the whole weekend, and staying laser focused and just giving it all that I have to have a good result.
Yeah, I mean, this is something where, any point series, there's usually a situation where, like what we have is 3 out of 5 events. To qualify for the points, you run 3 out of 5. And anytime you're racing a point series, you don't ever want to really give up events or leave anything on the table, so to speak, because you never know how valuable those points are. Like you're saying, last year you were able to get a 5th or a 6th here, and it was kind of a tough beginning to the race for you, and that kind of sets you behind on the points. And in order to make up for that, you have to have another almost flawless couple events. So running as many events as possible always helps, because you have extra throwaways in a situation like maybe you were in Mayfield, Dotto guys. You don't have any throwouts.
Yeah.
So competing in as many events as possible, that's what really contributes to having the best overall result, because you have room to have a poor result, or just one that's not on the podium, or something in that case. But where we're at this year, we're starting in SDRC once again. We're going to move on to Adrenaline, other tracks on the series. Anywhere you're looking forward to attending maybe this year that you haven't, or just an event that maybe you feel like, hey, this is my event, I know my stuff works good here, and maybe I can take the win.
Well, I think obviously it's always important to not leave any points behind and going to as many of the series races that you can possibly go to. Last year I didn't go to the Adrenaline race, and then I kind of skipped out in Omaha, and some of my first early success came from running in Omaha. So I'm really looking forward to going back there. That's a really unique track with the super tall driver stand. The track is pretty massive, and I think over the years they've kind of figured out more of the tire game. And I think this year this past year we had a really good success with the J Concept stuff and running the Smoothie 2s. So I'm looking forward to hopefully attending the Adrenaline race and the Omaha, as well as here at SDRC, and then the finals at Hobby Action. So I think those are probably my 4 or 5 that I'll end up doing, and kind of see where you lie. I mean, like I said, not everyone might go to all of them, so you're gonna be racing some different drivers throughout the series that you maybe didn't race here at SDRC, which is really unique. This weekend, Brock's not here; he's at the EOS, so he'll probably go to the next INS series. So you're gonna be racing different people throughout the series, which makes it really nice. And then the people that you get to meet and experience throughout the year is always an awesome experience.
So what's it going to take to put the Team Associate cars on top this year? What is it going to take to get back into that number 1 position where everybody wants to be?
And you just have to give it your all. You're going to have to put in 5 clean minutes with both cars. Dakota has been on a roll. He's kind of the hot driver right now. So he has a target on his back. Everyone racing here is looking to beat Dakota. And there's a bunch of local fast guys here too this weekend. We have Matty G, you have Davey Bada, Tom Rennerneck. So there's just a lot of talent here this weekend. But a clean 5-minute run, you're gonna probably need like a 98.9, 99% consistency to really get the job done at these kind of races. So that's the goal. And we'll see where we lie.
All right, well, you've been ramping it up at the end of 22, beginning of 23, kind of coming into your own again here, and ramping up. We got a big World's Year also this year, so Good luck. Thanks for the support, and we'll see you out on the track.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right, we're back out here with Matthew Gonzalez, and Matthew, big racer here in Southern California. SDRC Raceway here is one of your home tracks, if not your home track.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about your experience here, kind of coming up through the ranks in RC. You're racing in the modified classes here currently. Big stock racer in the past, won just about all the races out there. So just a little bit about kind of racing here at SDRC, and then kind of stepping up and running in mod, and trying to make that transition to be a full-fledged pro RC racer.
Yeah, so I've been racing at SDRC Raceway since I was about 10 years old, back when it was down there. Yeah, it's the buildings. So this building's been here for about 7 years, but the name and all that stuff's been around for 12. It's always been kind of a guessing game on what we're gonna do for, like for our club racing stuff. The tire game is pretty straightforward. We usually just run either smoothie 2s, just burned in with sauce, or ellipses like sanded down, and it's usually pretty good. But each time we've had a big event the past few months, it's been a little kind of a guessing game on tires, so I've been just kind of like trying to figure out what's going on. So right now I think all of us are trying to find out the magic tire, the magic sauce, but it's just a matter of the track kind of coming in. We've been through, I think, 3 owners. Sean has done a wonderful job of kind of taking over and making everything nice and clean, and he's done a wonderful job with getting our track all dialed in again. And our hobby shop has never been like more stocked. So, Sean and his dad have definitely upped the value of SDRC Raceway.
So, you kind of got a little bit of a unique combination here of sponsors. Obviously, a big supporter of our series, One Up Racing. You're racing for One Up. And talk to us about that sort of relationship there and, what's kind of your role in, your race team associated cars, but it's kind of under a different umbrella. Talk a little bit about your relationship there as, one of our sponsors of the series and, what it's like to race.
Yeah, so when I ran for Associated probably when I was 15, like 16, and then I switched over to Team Yokomo. And when the kind of things were going down over there, Joe Pillars reached out through Randy Castor and decided to form this kind of satellite, sort of like the Factory Tracks team, through Randy's brand, like One Up Racing. So we have a deal with Team Associated, running like their 2-wheel and 4-wheel and 8 scale if I ever decide to go down like that road. And Randy and Joe have done a lot to help kind of take me in like under like their wings and kind of help me figure out what's going on. And so I'm working for One Up now. I do their most of their website stuff, and then just like restocking orders and all that fun stuff. And then we'll be doing a line of hand built like stock motors here soon with a bunch of different brands. So that'll be coming down the pipeline in a couple of months with me doing all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's exciting news for you, exciting news for them. We really appreciate what you're able to do out there on the track. And I mean, obviously you have a lot of experience with the motor side of things. Like we said, we mentioned you won a lot of things in the stock classes. You moved into mod. And really that's the indication that you're trying to become a faster or more established pro.
Yeah.
What's it like racing the modified class and really like just competing with these guys that I know you've watched a lot?
Yeah.
You're side by side with them now on the track. You're in qualifiers. What's the difficulty in going from stock to mod and racing these guys?
Yeah, it's mostly the throttle control and just trying to figure out like you're not finding tense in the car. It's mostly through driving, and electronics are huge. I found that out. Like you can't run a light switch in mod, or you're trying to run bigger motor because you think more power is better. Honestly, the smoother you make your stuff, the easier it is to drive, faster you're going around the track. It's definitely not easy going from stock to mod, and especially having the successful stock career I think I had. It was kind of a tough pill to swallow to try to, be in the B main a couple times and just trying to figure out like, all right, well, this kind of sucks, but you're figuring out like, all right, if this is what you want to do, you're gonna have to sit and, kind of grind your teeth a little bit and see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it helps to have some experienced people behind you, the Joe Pillars, the Randy Casters, all these guys. I've seen them help you individually at the different events, trying to be in your ear, trying to give you some words of encouragement, which is really helpful, right?
Yeah, like having like those guys behind me, and then I had a lot of help like from Mayfield, like growing up, like through the Team Yokomo stuff. Brian Kinwald was a huge help. Jim Hughes, he's one of our like local. He doesn't like come around like too much, but he helped me out a lot as a kid. So yeah, just having people like that in my corner seems to help out.
Yeah, having these mentors is a big deal. It helps on the mental side, it helps on the technical side, getting your vehicles set up better, properly, and then it's just nice to have someone in your corner when you're racing, and you're having a down moment. Somebody can give you that pat on the back that you need, right?
Yeah.
So what's it going to take? I know you ran a lot of the series races last year. What's it going to take for you to improve over last year's results and getting up there and kind of competing with where you want to be? What's it going to take, you think, to climb that little mountain there?
I think a lot of it was consistency. I always felt like I had the pace and the speed. It just was flying off the track. It seemed to be my favorite thing to do last year. So I'm trying to not do that as much, and it seems to be working out. Hoosier, I had a couple like good runs at the Clash of Champions race, and then like this weekend, seating didn't go too hot, but I think I figured like something out in practice, so we should be good to go.
All right, well, thanks for the support, and thanks for being here, and good luck, and we look forward to seeing you out there battling with the top guys.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, we're here with another top competitor here on the INS series. Runs the series almost every year. Been racing here on our series for over 10 years. And Aiden Horn, talk to us about racing the series here and what your expectations are for this year, and how things kind of went for you last year.
Yeah, the INS races are always pretty competitive. I've had definitely some mixed results at them, but I've been going to them for maybe 10 years now.
At least.
And I've had some good showings and some not too good showings at these things, but there's always some good competition. Kind of a roll of the dice sometimes, you know, but yeah, honestly, there's always some of the best guys here, and this time I'm going pretty good this weekend so far. We were able to seed second in the 2 classes, and Dakota's been pretty tough to beat. It's always good to race against him, and he does these races quite a bit now, especially that he's on J Concepts. So he's definitely the bar setter, and to be able to compete against him is like kind of know where you're at. So yeah, we're kind of close, trying to get in there. But yeah, I like coming to SDRC for sure. This track is always super fun. I've been coming here since maybe 2019 Top Gun, and this track is always a lot of fun to come to. Good layouts, good dirt, so it's a good time. Yeah, we've had a lot of new tracks for the INS, and they're all pretty dialed, but this is probably one of my favorite ones for sure.
So explain to us how you finished last year, and what's your best overall finish that you can remember, and you know what it's going to be like to try to climb the ladder and try to get up there and kind of knock Dakota off, knock off one of these guys that kind of has a stranglehold on these things.
Yeah, well, I finished top 3 in the series last year, but there was only 4 people that did enough races, so that was kind of a gimme, I guess. And then last year I only did 3 races, and I think that was the bare minimum to qualify. And one of those races was Hoosier, and I did terrible at that one, so I think I was like 6th or 7th overall in points. So we got some room for improvement in the 23 here, because yeah, 7th is not very dialed, but we need to go to more, because we can't be not attending the throwouts. That's what makes it tough, you know, because no room for error at that point.
Yeah, we talked to Spencer about this earlier. He had the same kind of thing to say, was like, you know, I'm leaving some things on the table, not attending all the events, because then if you have a bad one, like you said, your event at Hoosier, it factored into your overall, and it makes the whole thing kind of disappointing. So to kind of like put them all together, try to, you know, have those throwouts where you really actually can use a throwout, not that, you know, that it counts against you in this situation. So what's it going to take to kind of knock off Dakota here this year?
Man, it's going to take a lot. Dakota's really bringing out the Godzilla these days, but I ain't scared of him, you know?
Yeah.
We're both Michigan boys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. He's definitely got a good program going, but every now and again he shows a little bit of weakness.
Okay.
You know, we just gotta kick him while he's down. I don't know.
I mean, how is it going to go? I mean, we got 5 races this year. I think last year Dakota went ahead. He ran 3, won them all. He sewed it up early. I mean, what's it going to take this year to do it? I mean, we talked to everybody so far. Everybody's looking at these consistency numbers. They're saying, hey, I need to be 98, 99% consistency, run 5 minutes. I need to do this. I need to do that. So, you know, we're asking everybody, what's it going to take? I mean, 99% consistency, is it going to take...
To be honest, I think...
You're going to have to get rough with this guy out
Well,
there.
I think, to be honest, we should just kind of pick someone in the bottom half of the qualifying and kind of pay him off. Say, hey, when this guy comes up to lap you, just hack him.
Yeah.
So that could be an effective tactic to get down Dakota Fenn. But we got the big key there is finding someone willing to do that.
Yeah, to do your dirty work.
Yeah, so maybe if my brother would come here and maybe squeak it into the bottom of the main, I say, hey, dude, you know, throw you some cheddar. If you just break this guy's car maybe twice, because he can do good in one of the mains, but 2 is like that's how you win. So
we've heard that a lot in this, where people will say, I'm going to take this guy out.
I'm not going to take anybody.
Well, no,
out.
I've heard this a lot from drivers.
I'm going to keep my name clean.
They get frustrated and they say, I'm going to take this guy off, send him off the track. You know what? It never usually happens.
Well, I'm not saying that I'm going to take anyone out. I try to be a pretty clean driver.
You have a hired gun.
Yeah, hired gun.
You have a hired gun for this. But you know what? Like I said, no matter what, everybody tells me these things, but it never happens. You really guys are good guys on the track. Nobody really intentionally takes people out. It's usually by accident, although everyone still gets frustrated. But talk to us about actually this event this weekend, what you're expecting. Like you said, you seated well in the 2nd position. You got some momentum. Now what's it going to take to put it over the top?
Just got to be consistent out there. I mean, this track is super tough to be hitting the same mark every time, especially that front section. It's like I kind of feel like I do the same thing 2 laps in a row and my car reacts differently. You know what I'm saying? Because the surface is like maybe a little bit of different takeoff here and here. It's like you really have to hit the same exact spot every time to kind of shoot low on the second double or not catch a little high side on the single coming at it. So I don't know, there's a lot of variables that factor into being consistent on this layout, but if we want to beat Dakota, we can't crash out there. That's going to be the number one thing.
So the bottom line is, everyone that we talk to, they're looking at the consistency. They all feel they have the speed, but they're looking for the consistency. So obviously that's a big factor. And we appreciate Acorn being here, of course, as always. We're going to talk to the big gun later. We're going to get the top of the factory tracks racing, Al Horn. We're going to get your dad out here.
Big
We're going to talk a little bit about his experience, what he's bringing to the table. But we appreciate you being here. Appreciate all the support, and good luck.
Thanks. Hopefully I don't need it.
We're back out here with Tom Rinnernick, one of the big racers for J Concepts, racing for X-Ray. He's had a heck of a career in a short amount of time, a lot of success. And Tom, you're racing on the J Concepts series for many years. Last year you mentioned you did 3 out of the 5 events, qualify for the overall points. We're checking with everybody in this competitive field here we got to start the season at SDRC. Kind of a local scene for you since moving out here a while ago. But talk to us about your current status, what's going on with your racing with X-Ray, and you're kind of stepping up your racing program a little bit this year and going to do a little more events.
Sure, yeah. Stuff's been really good recently. Last year I kind of ran X-Ray privateer with Testman's helping me out. This year I got a deal going, so I'm excited to do a few more 10-scale races and 8-scale races as well. Last year I did the INS series. I ran the SDRC round, Hobbyplex, and Hobby Action, so I was able to do 3 rounds. I didn't finish quite as well as I would like, so hopefully this year we can get a few more top 5 runs, some podiums, and yeah, be good.
Well, what's kind of interesting about your racing is you've had some really big standout events. You know, you did CRC a few years ago. We called it a big FU event for your previous sponsors, but that's kind of a joke. But in all reality, I mean, you raced everybody there. All the fast guys were there that you wanted to be competitive against, and you won modified, but also won the stock class, which is pretty rare. So talk to us about kind of getting that big win. I mean, not many people can say that they've beat, you know, all the top guys, especially in 10 scale at one given moment. And, you know, that was with the X-ray equipment. And, you know, how are you going to take that kind of experience and translate it here to the series and kind of, you know, take down guys like Dakota and the Spencers and the Mayfields and the Dustin Evans? And how are you going to do it?
Sure, yeah. I mean, that CRC race was obviously very good for me. The cars were working very, very well. I feel like that kind of style of track, you know, suits me. So for me, really, this year, I'm just going to try and, you know, work a bit harder on my stuff, try and practice a bit more, test more things, just so I could find some consistency at the events. It really seems to be my issue is, yes, I have some standout results, but I'd like to, you know, stay more steady throughout the events. So this series is a good opportunity to, you know, practice that and get going for the Nationals and the Worlds this year.
I mean, you know, all these interviews and the stuff that we've talked to these racers, nobody says I need to get faster. That's what's surprisingly, nobody says they need to get faster. What they all say is I need to be more consistent. And what's interesting about that is when you hear the racers in the pits and you hear them on the track, they're always talking about their lap times and where I'm at and this and that. But when push comes to shove, what they say in these interviews is I honestly need to be more consistent. And honestly, you know, we hear people reference the live RC data with I need to be 99, 98% consistency. This is stuff that you guys are looking at, and it is playing into the overall result, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it seems like, you know, TQ runs nowadays are like, you know, like low 99, high 98. So there's really no room for mistakes out there, especially recently. I feel like, you know, everybody's been on their game. So.
And what you're referring to and what we're talking about is on the scoring system, which is live time. There's a feature that will show you what your average lap time is, your fastest lap, your top 5, top 10, top 15, all these different data that, you know, Spencer likes to talk to us about the data, and but what they're referencing is a consistency factor, which features your first lap all the way to your last lap, and it takes those lap times and it determines, you know, what your actual consistency level is of your entire 5-minute run. And what they're referencing here is the winners, the TQs, are in the 99 percentile. So that means that from their first to their last lap, they're all within, I guess, 1% of each other, and that is a big task. And you know, it's something to share here that, you know, everyone's feeling that their lap times, their absolute fastest lap is good, but really what it's trickling down to is how can you do it from first to last. And not only is it on you, but you're doing this with 9-10 other cars on the track, and that's not always on you. So you got to get through traffic and still pull these consistency numbers, right?
For sure, yeah. I mean, I think, you know, to do a 99% run, you're within 2 to 3 tenths, like from your fastest to your slowest lap. So, I mean, that's definitely a tall task. And, you know, I feel like guys like Dakota, you know, they run those super fast laps each and every time. Some of us, you know, we can run maybe the same hot lap, but he's really just, you know, nailing it down consistently every time. So just, I think it's, you know, partially lines. It seems like, you know, he's been really good with that. He has good corner speed. So I think we just need to, you know, get the car a bit more on edge, and, you know, we just have to drive a little better to keep up.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the you know, the basis of a lot of these discussions we're having with the drivers, the consistency, getting the TQ runs, starting out front, being able to kind of lead the group. But I mean, you know, we talked to Aiden Horn. Aiden's wanting to go to tactics. You know, he's got different tactics he's considering. He's going all out, you know, in a joking way. But you know, he mentioned he's got a brother he wants to bring in and hope he makes the main and can take Dakota out. But you know, that's not really why we're here. None of us are really bad guys in this. But as a joke, when you're out there racing, you can't just take these guys out, you know, and expect to win. It doesn't happen that way. You have to beat them on speed, consistency, and you got to get them where it hurts, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, it sounds like Austin Horn would be a, you know, great candidate to send out there in the main to, you know, rough up Dakota a little bit, some of the top guys. But in all seriousness, yeah, it's just, you know, we have to, you know, get a bit better. I mean, Dakota's been obviously, you know, one of the fastest guys, definitely going to be one of the favorites for the Worlds this year. So we're just going to have to pick up the pace.
be more consistent.
So let's talk about your kind of progression here. You've probably ran modified before a lot of the drivers out there. You know, we've had guys that stuck into the stock classes quite a bit. You know, we reference some guys are career stock racers, but you jumped kind of out of that a long time ago. You never really did the stock tour the way some of the other guys did. You kind of just said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to mod and I'm going to race with the big boys. You have ran stock kind of in a you know, a capacity where you're supporting the electronics that you run. You want to get those, you know, those wins and show people what the R1 stuff could do. But really, you jumped into mod and you're like, I'm going to race these guys heads up right now. I'm not going to just take my time and go through these stock wins and roars and J Concept series. You're like, I'm just going to go straight to mod and run the big boys.
Yeah, I mean, at home, you know, like with Mac Vanderbeek got me on the associate regional team initially, and really we just all ran mod around there. So, you know, we went to some big races. You know, you kind of talked about that a little bit, but for us, I mean, it just, you know, run the mod, keep getting better, get used to, you know, the real driving, because the real goal is to run with the top guys. So, you know, I think it's, especially for younger guys coming up, like club racing modified, I think can definitely help. You know, I think doing some of the stock events, you know, to get your name out there, like at an INS series, something like that is a good idea. But I think modified racing, like club racing, stuff like that can really help your driving.
And you know, something I noticed about your support, as you know, from J Concepts, but for your other sponsors, I've noticed you've made a difference and an impact overall. With, you know, I see more racers using the X-Ray, the R1 equipment. So, you know, you're leaning on these guys, you're influencing them, as we say on the internet, and to get them in there, and you know, trying to get them into the racing package that you like and that you're got confidence in, and you're having a lot of an effect on a level like that, not only here, but back where, you know, Hobbyplex races, places where you used to race in the past. So what's it like kind of influencing these guys to run, you know, with your group of sponsors?
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty cool. I feel like, you know, the X-Ray and R1 team has been a bit smaller, of course, maybe a bit less guys are using it in general, but I mean, you know, I've seen, you know, X-Ray stuff has been selling here really well. A bunch of local guys are running it. There's some team guys here this weekend. We have like 5 guys, so it's really good. And at Hoosier, there was like, I think 20 or 30 team guys, so I feel like the team's just been growing and more people are kind of liking the cars. I think, you know, they're more suited than they've ever been for the U.S. track, so yeah, it's definitely awesome.
All right, well, we appreciate it, Tom, and good luck, and we'll be watching you out there this weekend, and get with it with that 99% consistency, and let's see some more of these top-end results and a few more of these FU moments to everybody else, and show them that you can do.
Sounds good, Jason. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, we're here with Cole Tollard at the J Concept Series, of course. And Cole, one of the big supporters of the series. You race in a lot of these events throughout the year. Last year, I think you peaked out, had a good performance in one of the classes. I believe you finished second overall. Yeah. And talk to us a little bit about racing the series last year, your experiences of the past, and you know, how you want to try to improve and, you know, kind of take that next step.
Yeah, last year was really good. I got second in the two-wheel drive class, and yeah, it's been really good. The series really helps out as a driver. It makes you just a better driver, makes you adapt faster to different tracks, which I really like because not all track surfaces are the same, and you get to see the country a little bit. But yeah, last year it was pretty good. Had multiple second place finishes, podiums, and it's a long series, but you have to be consistent.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we've been talking about with all the drivers. I mean, that word has come up more than any, is being consistent. And you know, nobody comes in here and says, I need the fastest lap, I need a faster lap. You hear that a lot at the track, but coming out here and we do the interviews, everyone's like, look, I need to really be more consistent. And you know, looking at the results, obviously Dakota's been winning the last couple of years. He was our first interview here. We're talking about how he's going to repeat or three-peat in this case. But you know, you've probably given him closer races the past couple of years than a lot of other drivers. And you know, how were you able to do that? I mean, there was some qualifiers you were able to take from him. There was some main events you were able to get here and there where you're having good races with him. So talk to us about your success on the track on the series races.
I mean, just like I said earlier, just traveling a lot helps me adapt to different tracks faster. But like, you just have to go into the event with the open mind, not like, I want to be in this position and just be like, that's what I'm shooting for. I just kind of show up to the track, be like, okay, have a good car. It just have to be smooth and don't wreck. Because like Dakota is really, really fast, but he has so much pace that he can crash, and then he can have an opportunity to take it. So just being that consistent, like you said, we bring it back out here, and being conservative is the word that we all come up with now. But at the track, it's like, you need a hot lap. Well, we all get back to reality, and it's not always about the hot lap.
So, big changes for you this year. I mean, for many, many years since you started running Team Associated, obviously many great wins, the Roar Truck National title, things that I can think of, traveling with the team, 8-Scale Worlds, you did a lot of stuff. And time for a new experience this year. You signed with TLR, and then really it ended up changing the whole lineup here on your shirt. I mean, you talked earlier that it's not something you've done in the past, talk to others with these different opportunities, and it's not easy to make these connections and get it all done on time before you got to start that first race of the year. But you did get out there at the Clash of Champions earlier in the year, albeit you had to borrow some equipment to get going. But I mean, talk about making these changes, and you have to do it in a narrow window.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of pressure towards the end of the year and just trying to get everything figured out. But I've been very appreciative for all the stuff Associates done, J Concepts obviously, and just all the guys that's been on the AE team. It's been a pleasure working with those guys. But yeah, it was just time for a change, make things a little bit more fun again, and just different scenery really. But yeah, it's just been all good so far.
So we look up and down the shirt here on your sponsors. I mean, one of the major additions of TLR, of course, we already talked to Dakota. I mean, he's been flying with the equipment. You're on the same equipment now. You can share some similar information and setups, of course, with J Concepts. But you're jumping into Hobby Wing, ProTech RC, A-Main Hobbies, big supporters of us here on the series. We like to talk about them. Share a little bit about your experience so far with the Hobby Wing equipment and ProTech.
Yeah, ProTech, A-Main, and Hobby Wing's been really, really nice to me. Working with Charlie Swanka, Bradley, trying to think his last name, from A-Main. But he's been really helpful, and then Troy Hansen's been really nice to me. But yeah, it's been really good. They've been supporting me and talking a lot and just trying to get me up to speed. Since I've been with Reedy for so long, it's a lot to get used to in a short amount of time, but they've been very, very good to me.
One thing, kind of this is going back a long time. I was a long time Team Associated driver. I made a change towards the end of my high-end racing career, I guess you could say. And I went to Team Losi, as we said back then, and ran Trinity Motors and Novak Electronics. And I always told people that for me, really one of the biggest adjustments was switching electronics for whatever reason. And it was a little different back then, brush motors, but when I went from LRP to Novak, I almost felt like I was fine with making the car changes and adapting to that. But now, electrical, motors, I mean, you've done it all in one swing here, kind of like I did. It's a lot to kind of take in and kind of get going, because you're like, car, then it's all of a sudden you're like, oh no, it's some electrical, I need to make some tunes here. What's it like kind of like descrambling all this as you're kind of on the fly?
It's a little overwhelming at first, but like you try and find, like Spencer's run the Hobby Wing stuff, you kind of go off of what one guy runs, and you can kind of tune off of that just so you're a little bit closer to what you think you should be running. But then with the car stuff, you have Dakota obviously, and then Thomas Tran's been really good with setup help. So you kind of just start with their baselines and just kind of work your way to something you like. And it's a lot of learning in a small amount of time, but in the long run, it should be fine.
What I've been amazed about over the years, not only with my own racing but others, but it's how quickly a racer can take in information that they want, right? Where it's like, some people are like book smart, or they're good in school or whatever, but for some reason when you're a racer, you might, not to say that they're not book smart, but it seems like when the information comes in on a racing level, it's just like, it just goes right into the memory banks. You can you can pull it whenever you need it. You're like, oh, I'm running these pistons, this shock oil, this, speed control setting, I'm running this, and it's all in your memory. It's all in, it's like you got this setup sheet upstairs. But talk to us about kind of learning that on the fly. I mean, you're thinking about all these things while you're driving, while you're turn marshaling, while you're not doing anything, while you're sleeping. I mean, this is where it all comes to you, right?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is just like one thing will work on a certain car, but it won't work on a different car. So I've been learning that very fast from going from AE to TLR. Like the associated stuff doesn't work on TLR, and then the TLR stuff doesn't work on associated stuff. So it's been a fine line between that and just kind of bouncing ideas between Thomas Tran and the rest of the team. But it's not always the same car. Everyone says they're all relatively close, but they all take a little bit different driving style.
So, what is it going to take, you think, in this? And we're asking everybody, what's it going to take to get to the top of the podium at these races? Obviously they all come at a different time, but what's it going to take to get up to the top? Take these guys down, the Dakotas, the Spencers, the Mayfields, what's it going to take to take everybody down at once and get that series title? Or, how are you approaching it, and what is it going to take?
This year's a little bit different approach just because everything's a lot newer to me and just switching everything up. So I'll just kind of ease into it, and then I'll probably hit it a little bit harder towards the end. Not that I'm not hitting it hard now, because I've been hitting the track a lot more.
Yeah.
But you just have to get your consistency up and just keep on driving, testing stuff between tires, electronics, and cars. There's a lot of stuff to tune from, and there's a lot of small windows that can make a big difference on the track. And that's even with radio stuff. But just to kind of strike when the iron's hot, when they make a mistake, you have to be there in the end.
So, one of the things I noticed, we're going to be going to the Worlds this year. It's going to be at Hobby Action in the United States. Pretty rare, for all of us to have a Worlds in our home country. It only happens once every 10 years. For guys like Spencer or Mayfield, these other guys, they're having it really essentially at their home track. Although, you talk to Mayfield, he'll say that's his worst track for performance. But nonetheless, you can sleep in your own bed. These guys can run a Worlds. You've been there a bunch. One of the times I remember watching you drive there from the driver's stand, kind of a unique situation where you can stand close to the driver, but watching you drive there, you were really on it at one of the events we ran there, and it looks like you've had your good moments at Hobby Action, and you think that's going to translate over to the new rides here, and what do you think we can do?
I mean, hopefully it transfers over, but just come into open mind. And just don't expect too much, because when you're expecting and then you don't actually end up doing as good as you would have liked, it just makes a downer on the rest of the weekend. So you just gotta be happy with your stuff and just make sure that it's on top of your game.
All right, well, we appreciate you being here, of course. I always appreciate the support. One of the top guys in the business here, Cole Toller, now with TLR. Of course, J Concepts, and good luck on the track, and we'll be following you all weekend.
Yeah, thank you, Jason, and all my new supporters of my racing program this year.
All right, we're back outside here at SDRC Raceway with Troy Hansen from ProTech RC. And Troy, you've been on the job now for over a year with ProTech and A-Main Hobbies, doing a great job kind of making sure that these brands are known around the industry, visiting hobby stores, you know, making sure that you got the sponsors kind of wrapped up here on a lot of the different series like the J Concepts INS. So talk to us a little bit first, what you're doing with ProTech, A-Main, and kind of getting out and visiting these events.
Yep, so I've been with A-Main for about a year now, and we wanted to we've always sponsored and supported events for years, as long as Kendall started the company, and but we wanted to kind of reconnect and have boots on the ground at events, and so they reached out to me. I have an extensive background in professional sports. I worked in the NBA for 21 years and kind of was brand building in Las Vegas, some various brands, and so Kevin Kaiser and Kendall reached out and asked me to see if I'd be interested in kind of reconnecting us, like I said, boots on the ground at events, and it's been awesome. I've just been thrilled with how it's gone, and we've put together a good system of going out and supporting local racing, the tracks, our accounts at the tracks, and then our team members, our pro team and our next team, and just supporting racing in general. It's been terrific.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen you at a bunch of events, but you've made it to a big variety too. I mean, you've done some on-road stuff in California. Mm-hmm. You've done some drag racing. You've been a little bit around just about everything. And at this point, do you have a personal favorite that you like to visit, or just any that are RC, or what are you like visiting the most?
Well, definitely trying to hit all aspects of the industry, whether it be off-road, on-road, crawling, drifting, NPRC drag racing. Obviously at A-Main Hobbies we sell products for all of those disciplines, so certainly try to hit all of that. My personal favorite, I have a long history in full-scale off-road with my dad and my brother and myself even racing that, so I love off-road. So I just think 10 scale and 8 scale off-road racing is just one of the coolest things ever. I'm constantly trying to show people, like, you wouldn't believe how cool, people that aren't in the industry, like how cool these cars are, and how when you watch them at, they're smaller in scale, but the racing action is just as intense, and obviously it's not as dangerous, and it's fun. It's a great way to get out of the house. It's a great way to be active. So I'm all on board with all types of racing. But yeah, my personal favorite is probably off-road.
And you've been around a bunch. I mean, going back to one of our first events in Chico there at Outback Raceway, you've done some racing, some short course. Yep. You kind of helped monitor or mentor a team a little bit with an NBA player, so you did some stuff with Brad Miller, right?
Yes. So we had an NBA lockout. I worked for the Sacramento Kings for 21 years, but during that time, I think it was like 2009 or 2008, there was an NBA lockout. I literally didn't have anything to do. You couldn't do anything during the lockout, and so again, I had a background in full-scale off-road. So I saw these tracks of slashes. I was like, oh my God, that looks so cool. And I bought one, and then I bought two, and then I bought a low-C four-wheel drive short course straight out of the box, and went to a race and raced that, and I bought another one of those, and then I bought an associated two-wheel drive. Pretty soon I had 6 or 7 cars, and then Brad Miller, who was our starting center with the Kings, he saw what they were, and he's like, wow, that looks so much fun. And then he bought 1 and 2 and 3. So I asked Brad, if he would support if I put together a race team. And so he loved the idea, and so we started something called B. Miller Racing. And it was based in Northern California. I lived in Sacramento, so it was kind of based in Sacramento. We had a lot of Northern California drivers, but it got a lot of national attention because Yahoo picked it up and some other national, NBA type publications, that this NBA guy was putting together an RC team. So we had a lot of fun with that. And then I kind of got away from it because I left the Sacramento Kings in 2013 and moved to Las Vegas, which is where I currently reside now. And I was kind of out of touch with the RC industry until A-Main called about a year ago, and I jumped back on board, and it's been great. So.
Yeah, I mean, traveling around, we're seeing you all the time. Obviously, getting on board, A-Main and ProTech have been a big supporter and sponsor of our series, and it's nice to have you come out and be here, like you said, in person. But talk to us about a little bit about sponsoring these events and kind of being a part of it, and kind of why you guys like being here or supporting these style events.
Yeah. First of all, we're thrilled with sponsoring all the J Concept series. We're involved as premium sponsors of INS13, of the Carpet series, the NCTS, of the Oval series. And we're honored to do so. You and your company and your whole team are the absolute gold standard of supporting tracks and racers and races, and we want to be involved with that. And that's kind of our goal. Is we want to be there to support the industry as a whole, and to make sure people get out there and get racing. It's funny because. And I was a little naive to it when I first started a year ago, is that there is sometimes people think of A-Main as like this kind of online, and that we're mostly all about online. We're actually all about the tracks and the stores. We love brick and mortar stores. Of course, we want them to order, their distribution products through A-Main Hobbies, but we love stores, we love tracks, we love supporting the racers, because we know that's the lifeblood of the industry. And a lot of the great, really solid repeat customers come from racing. So we want to support racing in all aspects, but of course we like doing basher events, crawling events, other things too, but racing is just the excitement of it all, and then supporting our team drivers and such too, but just being at the races is great.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Obviously you guys are doing a great job, and obviously just the whole connection. There's a lot of drivers that we share, the Mayfields, the Spencers, a lot of drivers that we have together that are out here racing. And you've made a nice trip here. What of the ones you've ran or been involved with earlier in the year, which events are kind of your favorites so far? You did the race out at the TNR race.
Yep.
You were out there. Several different things you kind of been at. What's standing out to you so far?
Well, one thing good just for me personally is, since I reside in Las Vegas, I'm kind of in that triangle in the Southwest where it's pretty easy for me to drive, 5 hours or so, get to Southern California. The events, of course, that come to Nevada are right there in my, backyard, and then I can get down to Phoenix easy. And then, luckily we have, like I'd said, Kendall Bennett is so committed to racing. They allow me to get on a plane and go out to Psycho Nitro Blast and support the race time events. But as far as favorites that I've experienced, I just mentioned Psycho Nitro Blast, the dirt, what Joey Christensen's done, and at Silver State, and of course DNC, and then all the J Concepts events. I've been to already at least 3 or 4 series races in 702. I want to get out to some of the Midwestern races that you guys sponsor, because it always, the J Concept series races, whether again it be carpet, dirt, oval, it always brings out the best competitors, and we like going out and supporting that. So I definitely have plans. We're just getting started here. We're going to be at a lot more, and like I said, we're all striving to kind of do what J Concepts is doing, really, to be honest with you, and be there supporting the racers of all levels, not just the pro and the expert guys, but the sportsmen, the intermediate drivers. We like supporting all the classes and just racing as a whole. But I love all the J Concept series. They're outstanding.
Well, Troy, we appreciate you and ProTech and A-Main and everybody being on board, and we just want to take a little moment to catch up with you, and we're going to head back inside.
Sounds
and
good.
Watch some four-wheel drive mod as they're coming up soon.
Yep.
We appreciate it, and we'll see you inside.
Thanks, Jason. A lot of good racing inside.
All right, we're out here with Doug Lariviere. Is that close?
Close enough.
Close enough. And we're here at the, of course, the J Concepts INS, and we're talking a little bit about stock racing right now. We've talked to a lot of modified racer and competitors, and Doug talked to us about all the stock racing you've been doing. You got some great sponsors behind you. You've been doing really well. 2022, first you got your Roar National title, I believe, in four-wheel drive. You were close at some of the other events as well, and starting off the year hot. You got some good results at the Clash of Champions, winning the overall there, winning the Clash event, which got you some bonus money, $1,000. So you're on a nice roll in the stock class. And talk to us about how that's going for you, and a little bit about your sponsors here. You obviously got a little different assortment with Team Powers, WITS. You got a little different collection of sponsors, but they're all supporting you along the way here.
Yeah, I mean, 2023 so far has been pretty good. I think I haven't missed the podium at the 2 events I've done so far this year, with that being Clash of Champions and then California State Champs at Davey Bottas track. Yeah, it's been good. Just my package has been really astonishing ever since pretty much, even when I started getting to the top in stock, was 2021 time. 2022 was an awesome year for me, and yeah, looking to keep the momentum up.
So, talk to us. You got Associated, J Concepts, Team Powers, WITS, Cheater, Northwest Hobbies. I mean, I think the thing that everyone thinks about when they race stock is they got to have the power, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just hear it over and over again. It's a lightweight this, and everyone's the gearing, and I mean, it's a full program to be competitive in stock at your level. Go into and talk about what it's like to be competitive in stock and have to go through all the games, all this, the motors, the batteries, make sure you're at the top, and then how Team Powers kind of helps you there.
Yeah, stock's seems like equipment is so important. I mean, having good power, smooth drivetrain, just and also hitting your marks is super crucial. But yeah, Team Powers, I mean, I've been running their stuff for I think 6 years now, and their stuff's been phenomenal. It gets better every year. Our team grows every year, and it seems we keep putting in results.
So, talk to us about, with that product, we're talking about, we're on a motor, battery,
speed control, servo. We make all the stuff for the 10 scale stuff. Yeah, we also make some pretty cool accessories. We have tire warmers. We have this new pit light that came out. We just released some more on-road tires in different compounds. So yeah, it's definitely not the biggest brand in off-road, but we've been looking to make strides forward.
No, I mean, I definitely see you guys doing really well out there. And then obviously another brand that's with us on the series, J Concept series, is WITS. They came on board as a sponsor. We like to talk about our sponsors of the series, of course, and you're one of the drivers along. I think Brock kind of brought you into the fold there. And talk to us about sort of the relationship there, and kind of what's going on there.
Yeah, the relationship there is great. I mean, I've been running their stuff since the company started with the previous owner, and now Clue Connors owns it, and he's been nothing but helpful. I mean, I think last year we won both the stock 2-wheel title with Brendan Schimmel, and then we also won the stock 4-wheel title with me here at SDRC. So stuff's good. I mean, the bearings are definitely what you want if you're racing stock. They drop motor temps, keep the drivetrain freer, just more power, more consistent power. And also make motor fans. They make motors as well, but I was with Team Powers. I'm not running those, but yeah, their products are amazing.
So obviously we're in the stock classes, but the question is, are we ever going to bump up to mod? And when's this time period going to happen? And we've talked to everybody. Is who's going to take down Dakota? Maybe you can jump in there at some point. Are you going to take him down? How do you take this guy down?
Dakota's been on an insane run the past couple months. Even didn't he win like almost every national title or something last year?
Very close.
Yeah, it's a tough guy to beat for sure. But yeah, as for me jumping into modified, hopefully next year. That's kind of the plan, is to be the final send-off in stock and then run modified full time.
So what do you think about, I mean, there's some, now what's really popular, in my day, we couldn't wait to get out of stock. It was like, we felt like we want to race with the big boys. We don't care about the accolades and stock. It was just like, I just want to race modified. But, it's a little different these days. There's a little more on the line. You have companies that specialize in stock, and it's important, and we're happy to have you out there racing it. But, ultimately, if you want to grow in this, you do need to bump up. But talk to us about this progression. You where you started, and kind of like gravitating towards the upper side of the stock class, and then eventually, as you kind of got to start back in mod and be like, okay, I'm one of these guys now.
Yeah, I mean, stock gets harder and harder every year, it seems. I mean, each year I mean, this year we've had some of the closest races we've had in the longest times. I mean, I know one of the qualifiers between me and Ian at Class Champions came down to 1,000th of a second, so stock racing's no joke, but modified's also no joke. I mean, I'm looking forward to making that step and hopefully have some success.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed when you're driving, you know, you're not really, at least in my impression, you're not really an aggressive personality, but I noticed when you drive, you're a little more of an aggressive driver. You like to get those whips in there, you're turning the wheels, you got a lot of control with the car in the air, and I like watching you drive the class. You got a lot of style to your driving, it's kind of cool. But talk to us a little bit about that. Where do you kind of develop sort of maybe a little bit of your style, and who do you like watching, and maybe who did that rub off on you a little bit?
I mean, I've been told I drive a lot like Dustin, but I don't see it personally, because I mean, I think I can see what like people think, because I drive pretty smooth when I'm on the ground, but over jumps and stuff, I'm definitely a little bit more out there. Yeah. Honestly, I think that just kind of came about from the track I grew up racing. We always had big jumps, and I remember like I used to watch like the expert stock guys or mod guys, and I was like, oh, I want to whip, I want to do this and do that, and it's just kind of been a part of it ever since.
So, I mean, that's something, I mean, we talk about, I mean, people say this online all the time. They're like, you know, they make videos and like, oh, check out my whips, I'm so cool. And, you know, and it's like, to me, I'm always like, hey, big deal, you know, like, show me what you can actually do on the race. You know, I'm not out here to just practice my whips. But you seem to, you know, like you said, it was attractive to you earlier when you were younger to drive a certain way. But now that you're getting in competitive, I see people that honestly have a hard time stop doing that when they're driving, because there's times when it can contribute to mistakes and crashes. So how have you had to be able to adjust that over the years?
I mean, racing on carpet definitely helped with that. When I first ran carpet, I just kept whipping like I would on dirt, and it just, I mean, with carpet, how high the grip is, you land sideways, you're flying off the track. So yeah, that kind of helped with my home track turning into a carpet track now. So I've been running there a good amount, and that definitely helps. And then also, I think just kind of learning that you need to not look cool, you also need to go fast. I mean, sometimes it's necessary and it's cool to, I mean, it definitely helps if you know how to do it, so you can save your car if you get off a jump or sideways, or you hit a pipe or whatever off a jump face. And so that's useful, and that's definitely saved me a few times over the years. But other than that, it's all about knowing when and how to do it, or where to do it.
You know, another thing I've noticed about you is you've made a lot of events the past, I'd say maybe 3-4 years. I mean, I don't know many people out there that probably have more laps at these races. I mean, you're getting up there to where, I mean, you're probably getting thousands and thousands of laps, and at these different events across the U.S. and you can see it's coming to you a little bit more. Are you feeling it kind of come together?
Yeah, I mean, this has probably been the best start to the year I've had in a while. I mean, last year was okay of a start. I think I TQ'd CRC and then kind of made some mistakes on my part in the mains and ended up third in four-wheel, and then I didn't finish like 9th in two-wheel. So this year's definitely been way better. But yeah, I think also it comes with just confidence. I mean, winning that national title was kind of, I think, an eye-opener for me that I can put in those runs when I need to. So it's just driving with more confidence, I think.
All right, well, we appreciate the support. Good luck, and looking forward to seeing you win some more in stock, but then, you know, bump up to modified and, you know, give that guy Dakota a little bit of run for his money. You know, we're talking to everybody, seeing who's gonna get him this year. But you know, all joking aside, absolutely great racing from you, and thanks again, and we'll see you on the track.
Thank you.
All right, we're back here at the Indoor National Series. We're here with Ryan Cavallari. We've been going through talking to a lot of the pro racers this weekend, following their racing as well, and just kind of giving a little synopsis of what's kind of going on with the event itself, wanting to kind of see how this thing plays out. We got, last year's defending champion Dakota Fend is here. We're asking the drivers how, they're going to be able to take him down, if they're going to be able to beat him. Just trying to add a little bit of excitement to the viewer watching these videos. And Ryan, you've done a lot of these events over the years. You ran some last year. You were successful. You had some good ones. And just like everybody, there's some ups and downs to the whole thing. But talk to us about running the series. Just kind of getting your feet wet this year in the racing. We've got some new sponsors we'll kind of go over here in a bit. But talk to us about racing the series first, and kind of how things are playing out.
Yeah, I think the series is always awesome to be a part of. You get good quality practice with the seating, and just the level of talent is definitely, at its highest level right now. So just to be at any event and being able just to compete with the guys, just to kind of see where everybody's at the beginning of the year. For me, I have several different sponsors, so just kind of working out the details with the car and tires and whatnot. But yeah, so far it hasn't been the greatest, let's say, start to the year, but it's just kind of work in progress, and we're just kind of building from here. It's hard to really get out and do a lot of testing with the conditions, and obviously in racing the tracks definitely get higher grip, so kind of learning a little bit more about the car throughout the week, and really just progressing from here on out. So
over the years you've ran several different brands. Obviously you've ran Losi, Associated, S-Works, Losi, and now you're with Schumacher. And you know what? You giggle about it, yeah. But you know what? We talked before about all your success in two-wheel drive at the Roar Nationals. We went back 17, 18 years with your results of how good you've done in that class. And I think that I certainly say, and I think a lot of people would agree, it's probably the hardest class to me in RC to win at consistently is two-wheel mod. And obviously you're a master at that class, but talk to us a little bit about sort of the new sponsors this year, coming off of the TLR stuff and Proline. Now you're with Schumacher, Raw Speed. You got some different stuff, and adjusting on the fly. So yeah. What's it like kind of getting with the Schumacher cars? Obviously you said earlier, belt drive. You haven't had one since you were 16 years old. So go into a little bit adjusting to the new stuff.
Yeah, it's new. A lot of the adjustments are kind of similar, but still, when you get to racing and whatnot, like things do change. So I have a lot of experience, but yeah, still learning every day. Like it's it's new to me. So, but overall, it's something that I've always been able to adapt with. I've driven a bunch of different cars. It just, obviously, first event, you know, either going to go awesome or if it's going to go kind of, you know, let's say mediocre. And right now, I think we're getting better every time out and making some small adjustments. And you know, right now I really don't have a, you know, let's say a team really here since Brock's over at EOS, and then obviously, you know, a lot of them are there. So they're going to be all coming for the Desert Classic. So I think we'll get a lot of just extra data then. And honestly, yeah, just building with the team, I think overall, I mean, we'll take some information back from this weekend and try to build on that. And then, you know, hopefully we'll have a lot better understanding on the car, maybe after Desert Classic when all of us drive it. The two-wheel's kind of, you know, let's say, I mean, it's new to me, a lot different than what I drove last year. And then obviously the four-wheel is like an all-new car, all-new platform. Yeah, we're just still kind of just working out some little, you know, just set up little things that you have to do to kind of make it fast for racing. I mean, the car could be easy to drive, but in the racing condition, you need it hard to drive and fast. So, and you need to be able to hold on to it. So overall, it's just a work in progress. So,
I mean, you're racing for a company that's been out there as long as anyone. You know, they're right there with, you know, they went back and won a Worlds in 1987. Masami was running the four-wheel. I mean, they've been in this as long as anybody. They have several innovations that they've come out with in this business that were before anybody. You know, obviously one of the logos on that you guys use is it's two arrows and one going the other direction, which that actually, from what I understand, is in reference to the ball diff. The ball differential in RC cars
Yeah.
was invented by Cecil Schumacher, and that's what that logo is about. I believe the two arrows are the diff balls. The other arrow is the thrust balls. That's what I would assume. And you know, and that's just one of the things. There's several innovations they've had over the years. They've been innovative. You know, in their day, unfortunately, you know, it comes down to driving. You know, there was the Masamis and the Clifflets and the J Halseys in those early days. And then coming through, obviously, late 90s, 2000s, I mean, you got the Ryans and the Tebow, right? You know, I mean, you guys dominated so much. Schumacher didn't really have the opportunity in the U.S. to be really shown. But now, obviously, you, Brock, others, kind of bringing that name out there where we can see them at a race like this. And it's kind of exciting for them. And, you know, it's something that I'm following. I mean, I see you working really hard in the pits. I know you got the thing apart every single time. You're changing things. You know, kind of consulting even with your buddies. You know, you got Mayfield. You're consulting with him. He's working with new car. You're working with a new car. So talk to us about sort of like this little camaraderie you guys have, and you're just like, you know, hey, I want to try this. What do you think of this? And you're kind of going back and forth with everybody.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's definitely nice to have a little reinsurance since, like, I don't have anybody really here to really bounce an idea off. So, I mean, I'll ask another, you know, driver what his opinion is. I mean, I know, let's say, what it should do, but I still would like to get a reinsurance, and it's always a little more, you know, helpful when you can have, you know, a friend that you could just kind of like rely on. Hey, what do you think about this? And you know, it kind of goes both ways, to be honest. So we've all kind of had, you know, where we're, you know, helping each other. Let's say, you know, we're all competitors, but we all also like to try to help each other. But yeah, I mean, Schumacher has been definitely put a lot of, you know, into the racing, like, this last several years. It seems like, with, you know, sponsoring Brock and, you know, trying to make a little bit more of a name in the U.S. And I think with this, adding myself will help a lot, and then just relying on the resources back in the UK, trying to just keep better in the cars.
So, you know, kind of going through your list of sponsors here, another change on the tire accessory program. Talk to us about you kind of making a change there along with Schumacher, but, you know, how that's been kind of going and kind of getting up to speed there. Yeah, going back to raw speed, I mean, I had a little bit of success with him back in 2020. Ran for him for the year, and really had let's say a pretty solid, you know, overall 8-scale year, 10-scale year. And, you know, I went back to Proline and thinking that was going to be a better, let's say, switch for me, but probably overall it was not really, like, probably ideally for me. So going back, it kind of, you know, was a little bit more reassuring. He has still Cody Numedal over there designing stuff. I mean, Jason's also designing a lot of stuff. I mean, they are always hard workers. I mean, it's kind of his MO is, you know, puts in a lot of time. He wants to see us, you know, as well put in a lot of time. And
I feel like I could just help him out and just kind of get him back to where, you know, we were when I left.
So another couple sponsors on our series. We got Hobby Wing, we got Sunpadao, who are big sponsors of yours the last couple of years. I know you were talking to Spencer before about you kept your E-Truggy. You won the Roar National title last year with it, and running the Hobby Wing gear. You mentioned to him that you just thought it was fantastic to be able to run the Hobby Wing on your E-vehicle. So maybe talk about that a little bit. Talk about that experience of winning that. I think that might have put you right at 30 Roar National titles. Yeah, you know, big deal, 30. And, you know, you got your, talked about the Hobby Wing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Hobby Wing has definitely been a big help for me. I feel like I was kind of missing something in my package. And, you know, I think overall the power delivery and then just the efficiency of like the brakes, especially on carpet, is where I probably noticed the most advantage, let's say, without, you know, having any fade or whatnot. But yeah, going back to nationals last year for E-Truggy, I mean, I've ran a lot of nationals in my year, and definitely that's the most grueling class is E-Truggy, especially in, I think it was about 90 degrees with 90% humidity. It was insane. So yeah, just having equipment that can, let's say, surpass all that, and obviously you still got to drive it, but overall, I mean, the Hobby Wing stuff has been hands down, you know, some of the best electronics that I've used. The Sunpadao batteries definitely have been awesome. I mean, my relationship with them has been pretty close. Obviously, they're out of China, so, you know, even with me replying, I mean, they respond real quick. They are able to get my orders out real quick. So, yeah, I haven't had any issues with the batteries. Everybody seems to like them. 4 mil, 5 mils. I don't think they really realize that there's much of a difference, but there's always a demand with 5 mil. So I believe in the US, our distributor has 5 mil plugs if you want to go direct to him. I think from the factory they still are 4 mil, but yeah, they are kind of stubborn. So that's just kind of how they go.
So, you know, another thing I want to talk to you about, you know, we've been talking to each driver about, you know, what's it going to take Dakota down, you know, at some of these races. And, you know, we don't want to make them a target. I mean, but I mean, you've been a target in this for, you know, as many years as people have been racing. I mean, there's not many people that win in bunches like you guys have. I mean, there were so many years you won 2, 3 classes, 2, 3, 4 classes. I mean, winning in bunches, showing up, you're winning, you're taking, you know, it's just like a winning road show, you know, for some of you guys at times. Yeah. And what's it like to kind of be at, you know, on your game like that? And what do you feel like it's going to take a guy down at the moment who's hot like Dakota, or anybody that's hot? What's it going to take to for somebody to surpass them and get the job done and get out there and you know, provide the competition that, you know, everybody wants to see?
Yeah, I mean, I think realistically, I think he's somewhat in his prime, let's say. You know, he kind of worked out some kinks with, you know, some durability issues. It seemed like, you know, some mistakes. But it seems like, I would say he's definitely, last year he cleaned up from the beginning of the year with the mistakes. And, you know, even talking with Mayfield, I think we're just kind of like, you know, I think he's just in his prime where he's figured out what it takes to win. I mean, we all know what it takes to win. Yeah. I mean, it just gets harder. The competition obviously is high, I mean, even through the field from 1 through 5th. I mean, when we were doing it, it was 3 or 4 of us. I mean, there'd be weekends, it'd be 1 or 2 of us. I mean, it was a different level. I mean, we were for sure at a high level, but I think now it's just, you know, certain drivers are kind of just going through that, you know, that prime of, you know, you put everything together and it's like clockwork, you know, it's just kind of consistent. So you're very comfortable with what you're driving, and then, yeah, it makes it easy to be, it's not easy, but it makes it look easy. So it's just kind of, you know, something that we're just gonna have to, like, you know, put a little bit more time, a little bit more, you know, effort here and there to kind of, you know, let's say try to beat that cycle of that happening. So I mean, that's the fun part about racing. I mean, that's why we compete. That's why I've been doing it for so long. I mean, we went through that era, you know, let's say back in like 13 and 14, where, you know, people were kind of thinking we were kind of done, and then we kind of, you know, came back, let's say, like, and it was literally, we had me, I think it was me and Mayfield had like a couple bad events, and it was just, you know, just how it kind of goes. So you race for so long, you can't be the greatest the whole entire, you know, whole entire time. So, I think it's great. I mean, I like to see people winning, and I know what it takes to, and how much effort he puts in. So I think we're just going to have to keep, doing what we're doing and just try to do a little bit more, though.
I mean, this year, it's a big year because we got the Worlds this year.
Yeah.
And, we've talked with, all the other guys. It's very rare that we have them every 10 years. I think it's in the U.S. These guys in Arizona, they have one in their backyard. They can sleep in their bed. Talk to us about maybe kind of getting back out to the Worlds again in 10 scale, and showing what you can do. I mean, I think you've had some great great runs at the Worlds. You've won it 4 times, 3 and 4 wheel, I believe, 1 and 2 wheel, and I think that your specialty is kind of finishing off a race. I think you've always been fast, but you've always been that guy that don't give them the lead in the biggest moment because it might be over with. And I think that's kind of your strength. But what's it going to be like maybe kind of heading into something like that this year with the new sponsors and, maybe trying to add another one?
Yeah, I mean, we're always, when we get to race at Worlds, it's always the most exciting thing to do. It's kind of been a bummer since we basically have missed, several of them throughout our career. But having it back in the U.S., I think it would be the 3rd time I'd race Worlds in the U.S., so kind of happy about that. I mean, I feel like, every 10 years, I mean, that's pretty good. So to have 3 of them being able to compete in, so I think it would be awesome. I mean, it's a track that I would say I kind of gelled quick and then kind of had a hard relationship with it, but then I kind of got a better understanding, and every time I go there, I feel confident in my driving. The track definitely drives different than what you're kind of like normally used to. So I think for the Worlds, it's always awesome because everybody's on a really even playing field. All the tires are hand out. It's like, everything's a lot more controlled. And it comes down to just, the setup and the driver. So I think there having like a big team is definitely rewarding when you need a little bit of assistance, someone watching your car a little bit more. I mean, everything is a lot more serious when it comes to the World Championship. I mean, from just the way you build your car to just every practice you execute, try to be, spot on. So that's the best part about the Worlds. I mean, I feel like it's one of the, obviously it's the biggest event, but it's just the most exciting one to be a part of. And the build-up will be great. I think there's going to be a lot of talent for sure this year, and it's going to be pretty insane.
All right, well, we appreciate it, and thanks for the insight, of course, and the support over the years, support on the series, and good luck with all the new sponsors, and we'll see you on the series this year and at the Worlds, and appreciate it, and good luck, and we'll get back to practice.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Race number 11, two-wheel drive, A1 on the track. Aiden Horn jumping out there to the lead. He's got the over the fence, sitting right behind the second spot. Running majorly in the 3rd. They are brake training around. 6 DB Ballot in 7th. 130 down and 3. Still to go. Aiden Horn leads 9. Back on 5. The over the fence. Closing that gap on the right side. Here comes Dakota Fence. Closing in on the back side of Aiden. As it comes down the center straightaway. Aiden Horn out in front in that white and orange car. Right behind is that orange and blue car of Dakota Fence. Both the top 3 cars. All 3 cars 18-6 last top 5. And they're in that triple on the left side of the track. So we can step up on to the fence gap as they come to the switchbacks into the triple. They both whip out all that second there with 30 seconds to go. Dakota Fence all over the back wing of Aiden Horn as they're in the front section. They go on the inside, can't quite get it. Then they come over to the left side, coming down the center straightaway. Battle for the lead down the center straightaway. Coming up on Dustin and Cole soon. Here comes your leaders over the triple across the line with 10 seconds to go. This will be their white flag lap. Aiden Horn out in front. Dakota Fence over the top. And they get taken on the left side. Here comes Dakota Fence now out in front. That is time to speed us lap you're on. Dakota Fence With the photo out of 18-2, Spencer 18 lap. Early out of the running right now. Spencer Brisket all over that back wing of the Dakota Bend. Is it going to step up and down the center straightaway? 8-4, not too far back in that third spot. Dakota Bend coming at triple. Drives the strike one more time with 18-2. Spencer with 17-9, Edie with 17-8. Top three are still another detail around that left side of the track. Then you got three-way battle for fourth, fifth, and sixth. Tom, Daisy, and Ryan Mayfield battling for that third, the fourth, fifth, and sixth spot. 84 starting to go into Spencer Brisket. And they went into that center straightaway. 2 minutes to go. Dakota Bend with a second advantage on Spencer. 8 right behind with the top three really start to pull away for that fifth. Number 7 straightaway. Dakota Bend with 10 seconds to go. Dakota has final stride 8-5. Spencer gets by with their white flag lap. Mayfield gets by as well. So here's their final lap right here. Dakota down the freeway, in that second spot.
Back here with Davey Bada, one of our top indoor national series racers over the years. He's raced on the carpet series, the dirt series. We really appreciate him and his dad coming out supporting all of our events, and kind of grown up a lot on the series as well, running a lot of stock racing, 17.5 two-wheel, 13.5 four-wheel. You've kind of won it all in those classes. A couple times I believe you swept for the series complete, and won a lot of big races, stepping up into the mod class the last couple years and kind of showing what you got. So you also have a track with you and your dad at Coyote Hobbies. Recently did a little bit of revision to the surface. I've given you guys a nice place to race, practice, prep for these big races. But going back to the series itself, what do you think it's kind of done for you and your dad, kind of getting out and doing these events and kind of allowing you to grow as a racer?
I mean, all these tracks up here in the series, they all have different surfaces, all different types of racing. There's treads, there's slicks, and the JBRL series that I did around here, it's all the same thing. So it's usually easy to adapt, and once you learn to adapt, it helps you with your racing program, and just adapting easily to the track when it changes, and it's pretty.
So, let's talk about when you race in the 17.5, 13.5 classes. I mean, you're really dominant out there. You won a lot of events. We talked to, your buddy Matthew Gonzalez earlier. We talked to, a guy kind of doing a lot of racing now with Doug LaRiviere, kind of getting into, trying to take you guys a space here in the stock class as you guys go into mod. So what was it like kind of racing so much in that class, being so fast, winning a lot of races, and just trying to stay on top of the stock game? It's not easy, right?
Yeah, it wasn't easy at all. We did a lot of testing and tuning at our track, and just countless hours. We put a lot of work in our cars. Main thing was our transmission, trying to get as free as possible, and just constant practice and trying to get used to being at the top, so that when later bump up in the mod, we hopefully bring that in the mod.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed with your driving style, you're very committed on the track. I mean, this kind of goes back to racing 17.5, 13.5. Is there's not really, you can't be bashful out there in those classes, because there's so much time that you can leave on the table if you're not aggressive, if you're not hitting your marks. And I see what, that's kind of what you learned, and what your strength was in those classes is you could stay committed to that really tight line, that jump section that you had to do. And I think that really contributed to a lot of your success, and dialing in, like you said, the associated stuff, and then running the R1 electronics, which we talked to Doug, is such a big part of this program in 17.5, 13.5, was having a dominant electronics program. So maybe talk to us about that a little bit, having that kind of equipment and being able to dial it in and having some of the fastest cars out there.
Yeah, well, in stock, we always went to Surf City or OCRC, because it has the huge straight. Mm-hmm. And we sat in there with Steve Villanueva at R1, and he came out and helped us, and we tried to have the fastest cars on the track, and always kind of had to mess with the setup on the car too to lay the power down. So, like the tires, we had a lot of hours when we first switched to J-Con, and it was pretty amazing right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, it was really standout. I mean, obviously having those kind of tracks here in Southern California. Recently, you made some changes to your track at Coyote with the surface. Talk about the differences between how it used to run compared to how it runs now, and what are you learning?
Well, our track now, we recently sealed it, so it's really high bite. I run the Smoothie 2 with black foam and sidewall band usually most of the time. And before it was our wet track, and we ran like gray foam, and wasn't really super consistent. The car would get super dirty and kind of mess the car up a bit. So our new surface, like you could feel every little change on it, so it's easy to learn new setup and stuff.
Okay, I mean that's great information. I mean for people out there, Coyote Hobbies, like you said, it used to run sort of a wet track condition, which the dirt stuck to the tires, it stuck to everything. If you crash, it sticks to your shock towers, it's on your chassis tape, and it's high grip still, but you have this kind of non-stick situation where the cars are probably kind of hard to drive at times, right?
Yeah.
And now you're switching over because there's a kind of little industry trend where tracks are sealing or using a glue on the track just so it kind of like eliminates the dust part of it, or you try to, so that it gives the racer this really nice consistent surface to race on. And you're talking about dialing in the car, now you can really feel all these changes because the track's not changing, right?
Yeah, no change at all. Like we could let our track sit for 4 or 5 days without touching it, no water, nothing, and it stays the same.
Well, that's excellent. So, kind of switching over, now you're running modified. You did a year last year. You had some great results, getting in the A main, mixing it up with the guys. I mean, you're leading several qualifiers. There's times when you're out there with everybody, you're coming out on top. You come out swinging, as they say. You're on top in the first couple laps, and a little, bobble here and there, and all of a sudden you're 5th, 6th, and it's just tough, right?
Yeah, right now for me it's a mental game because I get super nervous up there. So yeah, I know I have the speed. I just need to race with these guys more, try and travel more events.
Yeah, absolutely. This weekend you've shown some great pace, and you've held out really good 5-minute qualifiers, which is the hardest thing to do in this business because a lot of guys can turn those good laps, especially the young kids. They get the talent, they're excited, they turn these fast laps, but over the long haul, right? We've been talking with everybody, the consistent factor. You need the 98 to 99 or more consistency to take down a Dakota Fenn, to be able to get around over him, a Mayfield, a Spencer, Evans, Aiden running well. So when you're looking at these things and when you're running these events, what do you think it's going to take to overtake some of these top guys? What's going to get you, you ran the series, now to get up in the top 5, maybe in the top 3 for the series, what's it going to take for you to get up in there?
I know I have the speed. I just think the consistency is the main thing right now. Consistency, because he's doing consistent 99% consistency runs the whole weekend. So I need to start working on that.
And it's easy to say, right? It's easy to say, hey, I need to be more consistent. We've heard that in all of our interviews. It is the topic. But when you're out there running, there is no time to think about it. You're in the moment. It's happening right now. You can't say, oh, hey, I don't want to make a mistake. Of course you don't want to make a mistake, right? But it's happening in real time. There's no time to actually plan for it. You just react to what happens at the moment. And that comes with just track time, experience, and then you kind of just start doing this in a subconscious, right?
Yeah, so usually when I'm out there running, I just try to keep my line the same line every lap and not get a little too aggressive, and try to keep my composure.
Yeah, what I see when you're running is, to me, you say that you get a little nervous out there, but I don't really see that when you're driving, which is kind of, to me, it's a nice sign because it means that you're not changing the level you want to run at. You might be a little nervous, but you're still driving hard. And I think that's you know, for me, I know in my racing, like, if I'm getting nervous, I start driving slower because I'm like, oh, I don't want to make a mistake. But it's a good sign, I think, to still push the envelope, even though you might have those little jitters. And that's how you got to compete with these guys, right?
Yeah, these guys are really, really fast and can't make any mistakes with these guys.
All right, so kind of going through the thing, what's it going to take for you this year? I mean, what do you want to try to do? What's the expectation? Well, what's the goal for the series this year and trying to get in contention? And you want to improve, of course, but what's the expectation? What do you want to do?
I mean, obviously I want to win, but I think this year, realistically, I want to get a couple podiums under my belt and mod. So that's why I've been fighting this whole time, is trying to get. I'm usually qualifying farther back, but you know, I need to qualify a little better. I think I could race with them for the podium spot.
All right, well, perfect. That's great information. Thanks so much. Obviously, really appreciate you and your dad coming out. Coyote Hobbies, check it out. New surface. They're really all the rage right now in Southern California with getting some racers out there. They're testing and tuning. Go see Davey. He'll get you dialed in and maybe put you a couple laps down. But hey, you know, that's how it goes. So thanks so much. I will see you on the track.
It's going on the tone. Your T2 second place right now. He's got the first in right behind him. Ryan Bayfield in third. Tom Ritter in fourth as they're coming around the center straightaway for the first time by. These guys are pretty training around, nose to tail. All 11 cars running nice and clean. One car upside down. Like Max Heat out of the sweeper. Dropping the dead last. Adrian Horn out in front, pulling away just a bit. Dakota Fenn's got Ryan Mayfield all over his back wing as they come down the center straightaway. Front and running away. Here comes Ryan Mayfield in the third spot. Watching the front double on the second spot in the front double. That is clear. Here comes your leader, Aiden Horn, by with 18.5. That time by. Here comes Mayfield by 4 seconds behind your leader. Dakota Finn working his way back into the third spot. Dakota, the winner of A1. Aiden was the second place car in A1. Here they come around the stripe, Aiden Horn with 18.6. Here comes Mayfield by. Mayfield crossing the stripe with 18.9. Dakota Finn with an 18.4. That time by. Spencer Risking in the fourth spot now with 18.4 as well. Tom Ritter running in the fifth spot. We're at the halfway point, 2:30 down and 2:30 still to go. Here comes Mayfield over the triple. Dakota right behind him. Mayfield on the final scratch with 18.6. Dakota with 18.4. Spencer Risking falling back just a bit. Here comes Dakota right on that back wing of Mayfield. Battle for third and fourth. As the leaders are going to want some more lap traffic in the front section. But your closest battle is for second and third with 30 seconds to go. Mayfield hanging on to that second spot. Dakota Finn in third. Your leader coming around the sweeper right now. Aiden Horn out. Everybody crossing the stripe. Got checked out. Here comes Mayfield with Dakota Finn right behind him. This is their last lap right here. Dakota hits the inside wall just a bit. Loses a little bit of time. Here they come, and that is time. Everybody keep going. Let's finish the lap you're on. Here comes out that second and third spot with Mayfield. And Dakota through the sweeper. And coming across the triple now. Mayfield hanging on to that spot. Mayfield will finish second. Dakota Finn will finish third. We are lined up. Here we go. This is A2 open four-wheel drive main event. Drivers ready. Turn marshals heads up. We are going to go on the tongue. Dakota Finn, your winner in A1. Your CQ in the class, out in front. Spencer Richard right behind in that second spot. Adrian Horn running in third. You guys are great training around. Good clean start from all these guys. Dakota gets a little hairy through that section over there. That gets Spencer Richard back in. Top two cars, nose to tail, coming down in the center straightaway for the fourth full time. And through the sweeper, Dakota Finn out in front. Spencer Riskin in the second spot. Dakota comes by with 18 time, Spencer with 17-8. Here comes Ethan Horn, 17-7 in the third spot. He's got a little bit of a gap back to Connor Internet in the fourth spot. BT Bada in fifth. Ryan Mayfield in sixth. Justin Evans in seventh. Top three cars with Dakota Benjamin Moore breaking room now. Spencer a little sideways with a dribble. 17-8 with an 18-2. We've got 3:30 down and 1:30 left to go. Your leader down that center straightaway one more time. Dakota Benjamin, your T2, and your winner in A1. Looking to win A2 and lock it up. 17-8 last time by Dakota. Spencer was 17-8 as well. Aiden was 17-5. 4 minutes down and 1 minute still to go. Then over with another 17-8. Here comes Spencer by with 17-8. Aiden was 18-4. Drops back just as time to pick. Close battle on tracking for the fourth spot right now with Connor Internet and Ryan Mayfield. Everybody else starts to spread out just a bit with 40 seconds to go. Once again, we will take a break after this break to do the raffle. Your leader comes to the sweeper in the triple. Dakota with 30 seconds to go. Dakota 18-4 that time on. Spencer Reed with 17-7 in the second and a half back. Aiden Horn still hanging on to that third spot with 15 seconds to go. Dakota by for one more lap. Spencer Ritchie is by for one more. So is Aiden Horn. Tom and Ryan get by. That is Sandra. The white flag for these guys as they're coming around. Here comes Dakota Ben down the center straightaway through the sweeper. Comes over the triple one final time. And across the line, Dakota Ben, your winner.
Dustin Evans outside SDRC here again, and Dustin, we're talking to all the racers here this weekend, talking about the INS series, and you've been a big supporter over the years. You've run a bunch of these races.
Yeah.
You've won quite a few of them. You've always finished really well in the points. I think it's part of, we talked to Spencer, you got to run a lot of races to be up in the points. Sometimes you don't have races to give away. But you always manage to be very consistent, finish up towards the top, and talk to us a little bit about your success, the secret to the success of being consistent and getting up there each and every race and just battling inside the top 5, and what your experience is with that and how you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's always challenging. Nowadays, especially, there's more younger kids coming up. Everyone's getting faster and faster. I mean, the top level right now, you have to not only be consistent, you have to be super fast. Consistency's always been, I guess, my strong suit because I don't overdrive and very precise. So that kind of lends towards my hand. But yeah, also, I mean, I'm getting older and stuff now, but putting a lot of effort in and just working towards, the speed and consistency is the key for everything. The consistency is like what comes natural to me. The speed is what I really have to work at.
Yeah, and that's different. I mean, we talked to a lot of the kids here who none of them seem to be afraid of running the hot lap.
Yeah.
Their strength is the opposite. Is starting with the hot lap and they kind of work backwards. Whereas they're trying to go for the consistency now. You have the consistency, and sometimes it's the speed now. We're so close. I mean, we're running qualifiers out here, top 5, top 6 within 5/6 of a second, and so that's how close the competition is. But you're able to always kind of put together a good group of either qualifiers, getting 2 out of 3 runs, getting 2 out of 4, whatever the case may be, where you can put yourself in a decent position where you can challenge for a podium, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the key for me is, it's even like you see some of the top guys in motocross, like Tomac and all that stuff now. I mean, it's when my stuff's really good and everything's clicking, I can really battle for the wins and do that. And in the past, there's events where maybe I don't quite have the speed and I try too hard, make some mistakes and all that stuff. And then now, really key is I'm just trying to focus on myself. And all right, even say this weekend so far, I haven't quite had the speed. I'm working my way up there, but just trying not to make mistakes and just do the best I can for the weekend and see where that puts it. And then there's tracks where everything kind of syncs together and everything, and I'm right there for the win and be able to take advantage of those. But trying to have a better attitude and stuff like that when things aren't going quite as well. There's a lot of competition. It makes it
like more rewarding when things do go well. But yeah, I'm definitely having a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, talk to us about when you're running the series like this. We've talked to a lot of the drivers here today, and obviously we got Dakota, who's our series champion from 2022. He was a winner also in the previous year. Just a guy that's kind of in his peak right now. He's got it together. He's got the program together, and right at the age. You've been there where the skills match the age, matches the product, and he's in that mode. But we're talking to everyone. How do you take someone down in this game that's kind of in the zone, so to speak, and it be done? And what's it going to take for someone to win the series and maybe beat him overall?
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's what's crazy is, Dakota has more experience than I do. That's what most people don't really realize, especially people getting into it. Dakota's, I think, mid-20s now or whatever, but he pretty much has the same big race experience as, like, Cavalier Mayfield and those guys. He's been going to every big race since I think he was, like, 6 or 7 years old, worked his way up through stock, super stock. So, yeah, everything's clicking, and he has insane amount of years. 20 years, 19 years of going to these races, and that's people don't realize he's always been fast, but you just get these zones where they click, and I've had that, and it's like you always try to maintain it. It's so hard to stay up there, and Dakota's doing a really good job. But it's like I've kind of, everyone kind of rides these highs and lows. It's like when you're at the top, it's awesome. Then you start falling down, you get frustrated, but then you have to kind of work your way back up. Yeah, I think us at Associated, everyone's working really hard. Everyone, you just keep kind of plugging away at it, and things just start clicking. It's never like just all of a sudden they're there. It's just like, months, years of working, and that's what's happened to Dakota, and things start clicking, and then, someone else goes on a win streak. But, for sure right now, Dakota is extremely fast and consistent, which is a deadly combination, especially in two-wheel. I think in four-wheel, Dakota's always really fast, but that tends to be the class that he makes a little more mistakes. Mm-hmm. Maybe his car's a little bit harder to drive and everything like that. But, yeah, you see it sometimes when someone's always winning, like Cav back in the day, it's... People push so hard to do that, and then they wind up crashing, but then Cav winds up making a mistake or doing something, and you're not there to take advantage of it. So It's going to be the thing about having speed to be close enough, but not to go over your comfort zone and make a mistake and take yourself out of the race. You got to keep yourself in position to capitalize on a mistake he does make.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned before you're working hard. Obviously, we've discussed a little bit with running J Concepts this year. You've been testing some different tires that the other guys normally don't run. You have a home track at Moore in Colorado. Talk to us about your racing out there in Colorado. You have a nice little program worked out where I see you out there running on a consistent basis. You have some people that you mentor also too that make a lot of the races. So, what's it like kind of going out there on a continued basis, getting some practice in and testing it?
Yeah, it's awesome. I have a couple buddies. Obviously a lot of people are hearing about Dominic Passione, who's getting really good. I've been mentoring. He's making A-mains, getting really fast. I have my friend Skylar at home. It's fun when you have some friends go to the track on practice days and then racing with Dominic on race days. It's kind of went through a span at Moore where I didn't have really anyone to compete with me, which doesn't really push you. Now I have Dominic, someone to really push you, which makes you better. So yeah, it's definitely good. Moore's booming. We kind of go through these phases. Moore seems to really boom when the economy's bad. I always say I see the people. It tends to be people that, play bigger boy toys that come down to RC. But yeah, Moore's booming right now. And then the switch over to J Concepts has been awesome. Everyone runs the silver compound, and to be honest, it's not the best at Moore. The aqua really works well, which is a compound you guys have run in the past, but those guys haven't really ran much of. I've done a lot of testing with it, and it's been awesome. And we've spoke about a few races that I want to bring it to, and I might be trying it when all the other guys think I'm crazy. But it's something, that family of rubber is something I'm comfortable with and have a lot of knowledge about, which I can bring to J Concepts. So yeah, it's been good. I'm having a lot more fun this year so far, staying positive attitude. I know there was times last year where I got down, everything like that, but the change back to J Concepts has been awesome, and I'm really enjoying myself, even though the results haven't quite been where they want. But I know the effort I'm putting in, I stay positive and I have fun, the results come with that kind of attitude.
So talk about a little bit about your kind of responsibility as a Reedy team associated driver. You're kind of a representative too on the end of the industry brands there. Reedy is a big thing for you. It's obviously one of the massive decals on your car. It looks good on there, of course, but you got new stuff in the works. They're one of our big sponsors on the series. Obviously I've raced Reedy for almost coming up here on 30 years, but besides that, so talk to us about kind of your role there, developing product with Reedy, speed control stuff, and all these electronics.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy nowadays with brushless and LiPo technology. It seems like, nothing new is coming out as often as like the brush. It's like the new hot ticket. But yeah, Reedy, we have the new 610R, which should be available to everyone soon. I did a lot of testing and development with that. Definitely improvement, a lot more settings and everything like that. And then, yeah, as far as team associated, just definitely racing, doing some testing at home. And then we kind of have a new program we're working on this year. I might be at a few smaller races helping some people out. But yeah, we have something exciting to announce here in the coming months with some other things I'll be doing with 3D Team Associated as well.
Oh, that's excellent news. Some little bit of exciting news here to show out. But, Dustin, talk to us about this year is also a World's year. We've mentioned with all the different drivers that seems like it's every 10 years we have a Worlds in the USA. It's not very common. We only get a couple chances per career, really, to have a Worlds in your home country. It's a track you do well at. You've always been, your consistency plays a role there. And a race where you have 5 or 6 qualifiers, you got to count 3 to 4 of them usually. It looks like a good event that it could possibly be another thing that you can add into your career here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I'd say the last few Worlds haven't been my best efforts. I mean, I put good effort, but just the results haven't been there. But yeah, I was actually really happy to hear about Hobby Action. I really like that place. I tend to go well there the majority of the time. So yeah, a Worlds in the U.S. This will only be my second one. Chico was back in 2013. I know this was supposed to happen a few years ago, but with COVID. But yeah, I'm definitely really working hard towards that. And it's not like I say I'm going to put all my eggs in that basket and everything. It's just I want to work hard or harder than I ever have this year, just along all the races, and just be there when Worlds comes, give my best effort, and hopefully I can be up in the mix. That's my kind of goal.
All right, well, we appreciate it. Some exciting news, and thanks for all the support as usual, running the series and being a good rep out here for us and everybody else. And good luck on the track, and we'll see you out there, and good luck in the main.
Yeah, thanks, absolutely, Jason. I mean, I tell people all over the place, the INS races are definitely my favorite races, just kind of like the shortened program. Typically, like when I go to the West Coast, I'm able to fly in Thursday morning, fly out Sunday night, and then, a little more compact. I love that instead of being at the track for six days or something for an event. Definitely more into it on Sunday and come away from it refreshed.
All right.
Drivers ready. Turn marshals hands up. A3, we're going to go on the zone. A1, your TU in on class, coming across the line and lead down that straightaway. Let's go to the finish right behind you. Go ahead and check out just a little bit. Your top cars all turning around that left side of the track. Aiden Horn down to the center straightaway for the first time. They go again, sitting in that second spot. Ryan Mayfield sitting in third. Here comes Tom Ritter looking for a spot to get by. Good right close Mayfield. They're going to the front of the front again. Aiden Horn out in front. Dakota sitting in that second spot. Mayfield, Rinderneck, Bada, Bridkin, and Evans, your top 6 right now. 18-6, Dakota 18, Mayfield 18-9. Good clean run from these guys right now. They're down the straightaway again. On the left side now. Dakota Bennett out in front. Down the center, they get paid up. They get it back to the wheel. They can bring it back down. They are bouncing over the triple right now. Across the start finish line, we got Dakota Bennett out in front. Aiden right behind. The pressure is on. With 2 minutes to go, they're coming up with that triple over there. Aiden looks around the outside. He gets upside down on his wheel and over. Aiden Horn dropping back to the 5th spot. Here comes your battle for the lead right now in front. Dakota Bennett with Ryan Mayfield on his back wing. Dakota gets a little sideways to that section. He's handled with Mayfield. Here comes Spencer Ripken around the outside. Ripken up into the lead. Mayfield in second. Fenn in third. Davey Bada in fourth. Aiden Horn in the 5th spot now with 1:30 to go. Mayfield a little short on that triple. That gives Spencer a little bit more breathing room. Spencer out in front of Mayfield in second. Fenn in third. Here they come down. Your leaders by the stripe one more time. That is time, drivers. Finish the lap you're on. Here comes your leader down the center straightaway. Spencer Ritz is out in front. Mayfield in second. Steve Bennett hanging on to that third spot. And Dakota hanging on to fourth. That is the race time. That's going to bottle those guys back up just for a little bit. Spencer Ritz is pulling away. We got about a second and a half advantage on Tom Ritterneck in that second spot. Digging back up into the third. Ryan Mayfield in fourth. Is dropping back to fifth. We got Dustin Evans, Cole Pollard. Spencer Ritz able to 2-second advantage right now as he comes around with a 17-9 that time by. Record at 18-5, 18-1, Mayfield 18-1 as well. Spencer Ritz is with a great home front level section, then all white car up Tom Ritterneck in the second spot. Right line is that white blue and orange car of Aiden Moore. Right line is the white and orange car of Cole Pollard. They've got about 30 seconds to go. Ritterneck with a 17-6, Aiden with a 17-8, Cole with an 18-3 to fall back just a bit farther. Oh, Tom Lewis coming out of the back straightaway. Aiden takes over that second spot now. With 20 seconds to go, Aiden Horn up into the second spot. Ritterneck falls off the back up fourth down. We have 10 seconds left on the master clock. Spencer Ritz across the stripe one more time. Out in front. That is time, drivers. Finish the lap you're on. Cole, you are done. Here comes your leader in A3, Spencer Ritz. You are done.
Back out here with Ryan Mayfield here at SDRC Raceway. And Ryan, we've been talking to a lot of the pro drivers here this weekend, and a lot of new up-and-coming racers. Talking about the the point series here, the INS, the NCTS. But you've run a bunch of these races in the past. You're a past champion of the series. Talk a little bit about kind of your experience of running these events first of all, throughout the years, and then kind of moving into competing now, and kind of how 2023 is starting off for you.
Yeah, I've done a bunch of these events, like you said, all over the country last few years, and it's always cool. It's cool to get to some of these different tracks and see the different racers in the different areas, and race with some of the different local fast guys, and learn some stuff from them. They learn some stuff from us, and then yeah, starting this year, kind of a fresh start for me, kind of whole new program with the car stuff, but same electronics, same tires and all that stuff. So it's been not too bad of a transition, just kind of getting used to the vehicles. So it's cool to come to SDRC, try out some of this different 10-scale stuff. So far it's been fun. Still got some stuff to learn, but it's been a great event. We've got a lot of track time, and yeah, looking forward to the next couple events.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've been talking to the racers about is, kind of what the expectation is, kind of going in. Obviously, it's a point series. There's 5 races. The way we do it is you have to race 3 out of the 5 events to qualify for the points. But, the results can be up and down because, if you have to count 3 races and you only do 3 races, sometimes, you might not have a good one. You've talked about it with Spencer. He said he had a kind of a poor race here last year. It affected him overall. Then we have guys like Dakota who have kind of been on a hot streak. He's been doing a lot of winning. You know, talk a little bit about, you know, maybe that and, you know, trying to pick and choose what events you go to, or, you know, how that may affect the points, and then trying to, you know, race a guy like Dakota who's in a hot streak right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't try to cherry pick the events, you know, like I just want to go race the best guys. You know, if Dakota's going to be at the event or Spencer's going to go to the event, then I want to go race them. And, you know, if that affects the points at the end of the year for me, you know, it is what it is. At least I know I got beat by the best guys, you know, and if I beat them, then I know, you know, it was a well-deserved win. So, yeah, I mean, in the last couple of years, I've only really done, you know, 2 or 3 events. I haven't really been too competitive in the point stuff, just been busy with A scale and other things. So this year, I'm assuming I'll probably get to 4 of these events. So try to stay up there in the points and kind of see where it shakes out at the end. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I like racing the fast guys, you know. It's the only way you're going to know how good you are unless you're racing, we're all racing each other. So, but yeah, it should be a good year. I think we're probably all going to get to most of these events, and it should be fun.
Yeah, I mean, and then, you know, talking about, you know, we're asking all the drivers, you know, with a guy, you know, you've won a ton of races. We talked to Cavalieri, he's won tons of races, and people that win races in bunches, you know, you know, you won 2 classes, 3 classes at one single event. But, you know, Dakota seems to be on that roll right now. He's winning a lot of these classes. You've been there, Cavalieri's been there, and what's it like to try to take down somebody that's on a hot streak, or, you know, yourself, you know, you're on a hot streak in the 8 scale or whatever the case may be, when you're kind of feeling it or you're in your element, what do you think it's like to try to, you know, what is it going to take to get somebody past a Dakota in a race like this, or win the series, or be able to compete at that level?
I mean, I think, you know, like Dakota is the guy right now, obviously, and I think it kind of happens organically in a sense because, you know, he's kind of in his prime, or he's getting into his prime in his racing career. He's still young. He's been, you know, for the last several years, he's been like the guy capable of creating the fastest lap times. But now he's putting it together for 5 minutes, you know what I mean? So he's found that balancing act. So that's, Cavalieri did the same thing. You know, I've done the same thing. So it's like, you kind of just got to sit back and just keep racing them, keep throwing it at them, try to get faster yourself. And then, you know, hopefully one of these days he just loses a little bit of confidence, because, I mean, when you go win all these races, your confidence is through the roof. And then sometimes you just got to get beat. You got to get your ass kicked, and then you lose a little confidence, and then you got to try to regain that. You know, that's what we're all doing. That's what racing is. So, but yeah, he's doing good. I mean, Spencer's really good at 10 scale. My A scale program's all new, but it's been a decent start. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of good racing. Brock Champlin's not here right now, but he's going to be super competitive and fun to race. So yeah, there's a lot of competition right now. It's super difficult to win. And so yeah, we're just going to try to count as many podiums as we can and see where it shakes out at the end.
So, you know, another thing we've kind of brought up to everybody was, you know, it's a Worlds year for 10 scale. Last year we did a Worlds in 8 scale. We went to Spain, had a great race there. A pretty good experience. This year, kind of unique. You have a race at Hobby Action. I think a lot of people feel like, you know, they'll look at stuff like that. They're just like, man, I bet you Ryan's going to be there like every day practicing, and, you know, but it doesn't really work like that, because you have other races, you have other commitments. And sure, at the end of the day, you do want to do as well as you can, but it doesn't allow you to be there every single moment, and then you never know what the track's going to be like, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a world championship. Yeah, it's a big event, but it's also only one event out of the entire year. You know, I do 25 events a year, and I want to try to win every single event. So I can't put my entire year's focus into one event. You know, I know there's people in the history of RC racing that are multiple world championships in one class. They just focus on that one event all year, and they somehow make it happen. But I've tried that in the past. I've tried putting a ton of focus into world championships, and then you get there and you're like, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, you just put too much pressure on yourself. So yeah, this year my main focus is mainly A scale, and then when it comes down to it and it's time to go race the 10 scale worlds, I'll put a little more attention to that. Luckily it's my local track, so I can get there. But yeah, until the racing starts, we're running a different tire we've never ran before there. There's a mister system involved, so there's a lot of things that are going to change that I can't, you know, recreate on a local level, or Spencer or anybody really. So we're just going to have to go race the race and see what happens, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when I talk to Spencer is the kind of guy that he's like, if there's 3 warm-ups, I want to go to 3 warm-ups. Yeah. If there's this, I want to do this. And, you know, And you've like, well, I've tried that before.
Yeah.
Like I've tried to run as many practice races and many warm-ups, and it doesn't seem to work right for you. In the races that you seem to show up and just kind of do what comes naturally to you to adjust to the moment seems to be when they work out better for you. So it's weird how, you know, you guys are close and you're racing and you talk about a lot of the stuff, but you have a little bit of a different mentality when it comes down to a race like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've experienced that. You know, he really hasn't. He's like, you know, he's quite a bit younger than I am. And yeah, like you said, well, just recently he's like, I'm gonna order a bunch of the tires that we're gonna run and I'm gonna start running those anytime I'm there. And I'm like, that's cool and all, man, but we don't have any idea what the track's gonna be like, so let me know how it goes. Yeah. I'll be at home with the family, you know, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it's gonna be fun. You know, I'm just gonna try to rely on my experience, mainly just, you know, learn the cars that I'm gonna be running at the Worlds and be comfortable with them, and then, you know, get comfortable to the track and the tire situation, you know, kind of as it's developing at the event itself.
So, you know, this year, like you said, you have a new program for 8 scale. You're signing on with Techno RC. This is new for you, and you know, kind of break us down a little bit of kind of how that went in, you know, the signing and kind of getting with a new team, kind of getting up to speed early. You got a little bit of experience. You hit some races this year already, had some success. So, kind of how did the Techno RC thing happen, and you know, what's the agreement kind of going in? And we have a lot of questions from people like, you know, what 10 scale cars is Ryan going to run, and you know, clue us in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I started talking with Danny, the owner of Techno, and Matt Walter, you know, a few months before the end of the year last year, and yeah, it was a pretty easy conversation. You know, the guys were really laid back. They're cool. They were really open to kind of, you know, whatever we wanted to do to kind of make a package work. And yeah, we came to an agreement, and you know, since then we've worked really well together. They're really open to any suggestions I might have. They've been really happy with the results so far. So have I. I mean, couple events, you know, I haven't won a lot of stuff, but I've basically gotten second everywhere I've been. Won Truggy at the TNR race. So the cars have been great. And then the 10 scale stuff, yeah, we kind of just made an agreement from the beginning that I was gonna just run, you know, whatever 10 scale cars I wanted until further notice, basically. And so yeah, it's been nice. I can try to run the, you know, the different 10 scale cars, learn what they do, still represent J Concepts and Hobby Wing and the 10 scale side, naming hobbies and ProTech, and then full focus on the A scale stuff is really what's been going on. I've been running a lot of A scale. Spencer and I were just talking about, okay, next week we're going Thursday, Friday, Saturday to the A scale track. So, but yeah, it's been great so far. The cars are good, the people are great to work with, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
You know, I think there's a lot of people out there that, you know, they look at this as a kind of a unique situation, but they have no idea what your agreement is with Techno and what the future holds for them. And, you know, obviously from my perspective, when I watch, and if I was them, I would be thinking, this is a great opportunity. We can have this guy out running, you know, these cars. He can find out what he likes and what he doesn't like about these different vehicles. And who knows what it leads to for somebody to improve their product. And I think that that's how I would be looking at it. I'm sure that's how they're looking at it. And keeping you active, you get to run sort of the best of the best, or whatever you want to run, and it kind of can all lead back to somewhere if they choose to.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just going to be a gathering information type situation, I guess. And we haven't talked, you know, in too much depth about what, you know, we're kind of working towards or whatever. It's just mainly about racing. You know, keep racing. Get to all these events, stay relevant in the 10 scale world. The trends change so quickly in 10 scale. If you're not at these events, you're gonna get left behind. So that's what we're doing. We're here racing. If I get my teeth kicked in, it is what it is. You know, I'm here racing. I learned why I lost. Try to be better for the next one. But so far this weekend, it's going decent. I didn't have a lot of track time at home with these cars. Came here with kind of an open mind, and it's not too bad.
All right, Ryan. Well, thanks for joining us again. Thanks for being here. Always, of course, all the support. And good luck today, and we'll be following and gonna have some fun.
Yeah, thanks.